Chapter 2259. Let's rest for a few minutes, Ning Yu said after some thought. Even though he had reached the peak of peerless immortal, General Dong was no pushover. Killing General Dong had consumed a lot of his energy. The deeper he went into Xiaoyan Valley, the more dangerous it would be. If he didn't recover to his peak condition, he would only die if he went deeper. Furthermore, Hong Yu had given him a lot of energy. On the surface, it looked like he had refined all the energy and reached the peak of peerless immortal from mid-stage peerless immortal. However, what others didn't know was that he had only refined half of the energy. The other half of the energy was stored in his sea of consciousness. According to Ning Yu's speculation, if he could refine all the energy in his consciousness, he might be able to reach the half-step Saint Immortal realm. Even though there was only a small difference between a half-step Saint Immortal and a peak Peerless Immortal, the difference in strength was like heaven and earth. It might not be a big deal for others. However, if Ning Yu could advance to the half-step Saint Immortal realm, then his strength would increase by a few levels. All of a sudden, Ning Yu seemed to have thought of something. He turned to Hong Yu. "Your injury." "I'm fine." Hong Yu waved his hand, indicating that Ning Yu didn't need to worry. "It's not good for you to have too much energy in your consciousness. You should refine it as soon as possible." Ning Yu was slightly stunned when he heard Hong Yu's words. He had thought that Hong Yu wouldn't notice if he stored the energy in his consciousness. But now he had to reevaluate Hong Yu. Rumble. At that moment, an earth-shattering rumble came from the depths of Xiaoyan Valley. Oh no! Ning Yu's expression changed drastically. It wasn't the sound that made Ning Yu's expression change. His sharp senses had detected a terrifying aura in the depths of Xiaoyan Valley. As expected, the owner of the aura should be a heavenly lord. Heavenly Lord Ku Ba is so powerful. Ning Yu took a deep breath, and his face became extremely solemn. He had wanted to give Hong Yu some of the energy in his consciousness, but it seemed that he had to devour it himself. It wasn't a good thing for the energy to be scattered. Devour! Ning Yu sat down cross-legged and activated his spell in a frenzy. Chi-chi! The energy in his sea of consciousness was being refined at an extremely frightening speed. At this rate, it would take at most half an hour for Ning Yu to completely refine the energy in his sea of consciousness. What a freak! On the other side, Hong Yu watched Ning Yu's soaring strength and could not help but sigh. When she first met Ning Yu's strength was on par with hers. He could even slightly suppress Ning Yu. But how long has it been? Ning Yu's strength was enough to crush her. Of course, this was under the premise that she did not use the trump card she brought from her family. Once she used her trump card, not to mention Ning Yu, even a half-step Lord of Heaven Realm expert would be defeated. However, a trump card was a trump card after all. Scarlet Moon would never be used unless it was absolutely necessary. Bang! Time continued to pass. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. In half an hour, Ning Yu completely refined the hidden energy in his sea of consciousness. Then there was a muffled sound. Ning Yu's cultivation soared from the peak of Peerless Immortal to the half-step Saint Immortal realm. It only took Ning Yu about an hour to advance from the mid-stage Peerless Immortal to the half-step Saint Immortal realm. Even the peerless geniuses on the Lord of Heaven's substitute list would find it difficult to achieve such a fast speed. Thank you. Ning Yu withdrew his aura and cupped his hands at Hong Yu. What are you thanking me for? If you hadn't stopped General Dong, I wouldn't have been able to collect the energy. Hong Yu waved her hand and said, "For now, it's better to go to the depths of Xiaoyan Valley as soon as possible." Hong Yu did not forget the purpose of her trip. She wanted to go to the depths of Xiaoyan Valley and find the corpse of a Lord of Heaven, then bring it back to the Kungsu territory. Okay. Ning Yu nodded, then stomped his feet on the ground and rushed out of the stone room. Swish! However, As soon as Ningyu left the stone room, a fist came at him. Bang! Ningyu clenched his right fist and collided with the fist. The two fists collided. Both Ningyu and his opponent retreated dozens of feet at the same time. Human! A soft voice reached Ningyu's ears. Hearing that, Ningyu looked over. In front of him, there were 4 figures standing. Ningyu's expression was a little solemn. This was because he could sense a terrifying aura from these 4 martial artists. The peak of the Saint Immortal Realm. The 4 martial artists were all at the peak of the Saint Immortal Realm. The young man in the lead looked at Ningyu and said indifferently, "Your strength is not bad. Become my slave, and I will consider letting you live." Ningyu rubbed his slightly swollen fist and said, "I can say that to you." "Huh. Are you sure you want to talk to me in this tone?" The young man raised his eyebrows and said sinisterly, "I killed the last person who talked to me in this tone." "Do you know who I am?" Ningyu shrugged and said, "What does that have to do with me?" Before advancing to the half-step Saint Immortal Realm, Ningyu might have been afraid of the young man. This was because the young man's strength was much stronger than General Dong's. But now, Ningyu was not afraid of the young man. "Haha, the ignorant are fearless." The young man smiled and said, "Listen up. I'm He Wushuang from the Kungsu territory. I'm ranked 10,000th on the Heavenly Lord Substitute list." Hearing the young man's words, before Ningyu could react, Hongyu, who was next to him, could not help but laugh. How dare he say he's ranked 10,000th on the Heavenly Lord Substitute list? Hong, you had a rough idea of Ningyu's strength. If Ningyu challenged the Heavenly Lord Substitute list, he could probably make it to the top 5,000. 5,000 against 10,000. Ningyu did not even need to use his full strength to kill He Wushuang. "I think I've seen you before." He Wushuang was not angry because of Hongyu's mockery. Instead, he stared at Hongyu and asked, "Are you from the Hong family of the Kungsu territory?" "You're very smart," Hongyu said. "You know I'm from the Hong family. Why don't you get lost?" Crack, crack, crack. He Wushuang clenched his fists and made cracking sounds. Although he was ranked 10,000th on the Heavenly Lord Substitute list, he could not afford to offend Hongyu, because the Hong family was a first-rate family in the Kungsu territory. They had several people in the top 5,000 of the Heavenly Lord Substitute list. If he offended the Hong family, even the He family, where he was from, might be annihilated. Brother Wushuang, in for a penny, in for a pound. At this moment, a peak Saint Immortal martial artist behind He Wushuang touched his neck and said fiercely, "This is the Cloud Valley. Even if the Hong family dies, we can't be blamed." Chapter 2260. He Wushuang frowned when he heard the words of the peak Saint Immortal martial artist. He was struggling internally. To kill or not to kill, it was a difficult choice. The Hong family was one of the top families in the Kungsu territory. No one had ever dared to pretend to be a member of the Hong family. Therefore, He Wushuang was very sure that Hongyu was not a member of the Hong family. There were pros and cons to killing or not. He Wushuang's expression was dark. A while later, He Wushuang made his choice. Kill. There was no one else here anyway. As long as he could kill the 2 people in front of him, even if the Hong family found out, there would be no evidence. Whoosh! He Wushuang was not an indecisive person. He stomped on the ground and charged out. "Everyone, let's go." As they moved forward, He Wushuang didn't forget to shout, "Whoosh! Whoosh! Whoosh!" Among them, He Wushuang charged at Hongyu, while the other 3 peak Saint Immortal martial artists charged at Ningyu. Damn it! Hongyu's face darkened when she saw He Wushuang charging at her. Given her current strength, it would be difficult for her to fight He Wushuang unless she used her trump card. Bang! 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 While Hong Yu was thinking of a countermeasure, the battle on the other side had already ended. Ning Yu stood still on the spot as he casually threw out 3 punches, sending 3 Saint Immortal peak stage martial artists flying. What? The sudden change in events caused He Wushuang's expression to change drastically. He Wushuang knew the strength of his 3 companions very well. Although they were not as strong as he was, they were not far off. Even he dared not say that he could kill 3 of his companions with 3 punches. It's not good to be distracted while fighting me. Seeing that He Wushuang was slightly distracted, Hong Yu took out her flying sword and slashed. Oh no! He Wushuang was indeed a peerless genius, ranked in the top 10,000 of the Heavenly Lord Substitute list. He reacted quickly and dodged to the side. Crack! However, even though He Wushuang dodged to the side, he still could not dodge Hong Yu's attack. The red flying sword drew a line in the air and slashed He Wushuang's arm. A crisp sound was heard. He Wushuang's right arm was forcefully chopped off. Ah! He Wushuang screamed like a pig being slaughtered. He Wushuang was extremely enraged at the moment. He had originally wanted to kill them and seize their treasures, but who would have thought that he would fail miserably in such an easy task, going for wool and coming home shorn? After the scream, He Wushuang stared at Hong Yu and Ning Yu with a cold face and said fiercely, I've already informed the great ancestor of He clan. You've killed all of them, so you won't be going anywhere today. You're about to die, yet you're still so stubborn. Ning Yu shrugged and said, I'll ask you a few questions. If you can answer them honestly, I can consider sparing your life. Pooh! He Wushuang spat out a mouthful of spittle, saying fiercely, Just kill me! Either way, I've already told the old ancestor about this place. No one in this world can save me, Poochie. However, He Wushuang had only spoken halfway when he stopped abruptly. Pulling out the red demon sword from He Wushuang's heart, Ning Yu said indifferently, Your request is really strange. I will fulfill it. I'm afraid it'll be troublesome to kill him. Hong Yu frowned and said, Although the He clan is a third-rate clan, rumor has it that their great ancestor is still alive. If it's really as he said, and the He clan great ancestor is in the Cloud Valley, we'll probably be in danger. In fact, Hong Yu's original intention was to keep He Wushuang alive. After all, He Wushuang was the second peerless genius of the He clan. If they encountered experts of the He clan, they could still use He Wushuang as a bargaining chip. Don't worry, there's something in the Cloud Valley that's more attractive to half-step heavenly lords. We won't be the first target for a while. Ning Yu waved his hand, indicating that Hong Yu did not need to worry. Before advancing to half-step Saint Immortal, Ning Yu might not have known why Ning Lu had sent him a voice transmission and asked him to enter the depths of the Cloud Valley. But now Ning Yu finally understood. There was a tree of world in the depths of the Cloud Valley. To be precise, there was a small section of the tree of world in the deepest part of the Cloud Valley. The essence of the tree of world was all in the rhizome. As long as he could get that small section of rhizome, Ning Yu believed that Ning Lu's cultivation could soar to the peak of Saint Immortal, or even the half-step Heavenly Lord realm. And this was where Ning Yu's confidence came from. All right, then let's. Hong Yu nodded and said hesitantly, We can't waste such good energy. Ning Yu placed his palm on He Wushuang's head, and the devouring power in his body circulated crazily. Buzz! It did not take long. He Wushuang was sucked dry. Swish! Next, Ning Yu came to the 3 martial artists at the peak of Saint Immortal and used the same method to suck them dry. Not bad. Your strength has improved again. Ning Yu was very satisfied. Through his fight with He Wushuang, Ning Yu roughly judged his ranking on the Heavenly Lord Substitute list. Before he devoured He Wushuang and the others, he could at least be ranked in the top 5,000. However, after devouring He Wushuang and the other 3 martial artists at the peak of Saint Immortal, Ningyu was confident that he could be ranked in the top 4,000 on the Heavenly Lord substitute list. One should not underestimate the advancement of these 1,000. One should know that the Heavenly Lord substitute list included the peerless geniuses of the entire high-level plane. For a super territory like the Kungsu territory, there were no more than 100 peerless geniuses who could enter the top 5,000 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list. After his strength soared, Ningyu did not immediately go deep into the Cloud Valley. Instead, he looked at Hongyu. All along, Ningyu felt that Hongyu was not a simple person. From the strength that Hongyu had shown, she could not even enter the top 10,000 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list. However, for some reason, Ningyu felt that this was not Hongyu's true combat power. It seemed Hongyu had sealed her strength. Why are you looking at me? Being stared at by Ningyu, Hongyu blushed and said, "Is there a flower on my face?" "Yes, I didn't notice it just now. Now it seems that there is indeed a flower on your face." Ningyu said seriously, "May I ask why there is a flower on your face?" "Go to hell." Hongyu rolled her eyes. Her body flashed, and she rushed into the depths of the Cloud Valley. Looking at Hongyu's back, Ningyu could not help but raise the corner of his mouth. In the end, Hongyu was still too young. When she left just now, she accidentally exposed herself. Ningyu guessed right. There was indeed a seal in Hongyu's body. Before breaking the seal, Hongyu's combat power could not be ranked in the top 10,000 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list. However, after breaking the seal, Hongyu's real combat power could at least be ranked in the top 5,000 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list, or even the top 3,000. Swish! He did not think much about it. Ningyu followed Hongyu and went straight into the depths of the Cloud Valley. Rumble. At this time, in the depths of the Cloud Valley, there was a slightly narrow area. Swish! 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 The sound of breaking wind was constantly heard. Chapter 2261. The already narrow area immediately became very crowded with the appearance of dozens of warriors. There were a total of 4 entrances and exits in this narrow area. Dozens of martial artists were divided into 4 groups, and each group was guarding an entrance. Enough! Seeing that more and more people were gathering, a gray-robed elder waved his hand and said, "Seal the entrance. No one is allowed to enter." Whoosh! 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 The gray-robed old man's words had a great effect on them. A pinnacle Saint Immortal expert flew out from each camp and guarded the entrance tightly. Cough! Seeing that the entrance was sealed, the old man coughed and said, "I don't care what grudges you have. It's fate that we're here. According to the information, an altar will appear in half an hour, and there is a skeleton of a Lord of Heaven in the altar. Some of us are from the Brilliant Void Weave, the Tyrant Destruction Weave, the Violet Orchid Weave, and the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance. I propose that each faction get a quarter of the half-step Heavenly Monarch Corps. If you have any suggestions, feel free to voice them." After saying that, the gray-robed elder looked around. Among the 4 groups, the old man in gray was from the Xylan Weave. He was a peak Saint Immortal and ranked 5,100th on the Heavenly Lord substitute list. The He family from the Brilliant Void Weave was led by their number 1 genius, He Wuming, ranked 8,000th on the Heavenly Lord substitute list. The He family from the Tyrant Weave was led by their patriarch He Batian, ranked 7,000th on the Heavenly Lord substitute list. The Itinerant Cultivators Alliance was led by a burly man, Du Shiyong, ranked 7,300th on the Heavenly Lord substitute list. Just from the ranking of the Heavenly Monarch substitute list, the gray-robed elder from the Xylan Weave was the strongest. He Batian was second, Du Shiyong was slightly weaker, and He Wuming was the weakest. I don't think this distribution is reasonable. He Wuming crossed his arms in front of his chest and said, A half-step heavenly lord corpse is not enough for so many people. In my opinion, we should solve it by force. Solve it by force? The gray-robed old man raised his eyebrows. He was a little unhappy. Those who were stronger than him did not say anything, but he who was ranked 8,000th on the Heavenly Lord substitute list dared to talk nonsense. However, the gray-robed elder did not get angry. He asked, "What is the solution?" "It's very simple. Each of our 4 forces will send out a martial artist to spar with each other. The one who wins can continue to stay, and the one who loses will have to get lost." Wooming Crane said with a calm expression. Whoosh! Wooming Crane's expression did not change, but Hibatian and Du Shurung's expressions changed slightly. Based on their strength, the 2 of them would definitely be eliminated. "I have no objections." The gray-robed elder shrugged. Wooming Crane looked at Du Shurung and Hibatian. Sure. Du Shurung and Hibatian struggled for a while before finally agreeing to this method. They knew very well that they would definitely be pushed aside by the gray-clothed old man and nameless Crane if they didn't agree. At that time, he wouldn't even have the chance to fight. Since no one has any objections, how about I spar with you in the first match? Wooming, he looked at Hibatian and asked, "Humph, as you wish." Hibatian snorted coldly and immediately dashed out. He clenched his right hand into a fist and punched toward Wooming. Facing Hibatian, who was dashing toward him, Wooming Crane casually waved his fist. Bang! The 2 fists collided. Hibatian was like a kite with a broken string, slamming straight into the stone wall behind him. Uft! Hibatian's aura from the peak of the Saint Immortal realm began to decline rapidly. "Sorry you lost." Wooming Crane's expression did not change at all. He stretched out his right hand and pointed at the exit next to him. "Take the He Clan's people and leave as soon as possible. Just you wait." Hibatian's expression was extremely cold. He left behind a ruthless sentence and immediately left with the He Clan's martial artists through the exit. Bang! As soon as Hibatian left with the He Clan's people, Wooming completely sealed the entrance. In other words, if Hibatian wanted to come back, he would have to break the entrance with all his strength. Damn it! Hibatian cursed as he looked back at the sealed entrance. A few months ago, he brought many experts from the He Clan to the Cloud Valley, thinking that he could find the remains of a heavenly monarch. Unexpectedly, he found nothing and lost a large number of experts. Old ancestor, should we go back? A late-stage Saint Immortal cultivator from the He Clan said fiercely, Wooming is just a genius from a third-rate clan in the brilliant Void territory. We slap. Hibatian slapped the late-stage Saint Immortal cultivator's face before he could finish his sentence. Trash! What were you doing just now? Hibatian said coldly, "Go back yourself if you can. Don't drag us down." "I'm sorry, old ancestor." The late-stage Saint Immortal cultivator held his slightly swollen cheek and lowered his head to admit his mistake. The stronger the force, the stricter the hierarchy. In the He Clan, apart from the supreme old ancestor, Hibatian's strength was the strongest. It would not end well for anyone who offended him. The rest of the He Clan's martial artists looked at him sympathetically. "Come, let's go to another place." Hibatian took out a sheepskin scroll and glanced at it. Then his figure flashed and he took a step forward. Whoosh! Whoosh! However, Hibatian had only taken a few steps when he saw 2 young martial artists appearing in his sight. Hibatian frowned slightly when he saw the young man, as if he had seen him somewhere before. That's right. All of a sudden, Hibatian slapped his thigh and said, "Ning, you killed He Hong's man!" Whoosh! The experts of the He Clan were startled when they heard Hibatian's voice. He Hong had long been appointed as the next patriarch of the clan. Who would have thought that he would be killed by a cultivator called Ningyu? The scene of the killing was recorded in the memory crystal, The young man was exactly the same as the person who had killed Hihong, be it his appearance or aura. You chose to barge into hell instead of taking the path to heaven. Hibation's expression turned cold. He was initially worried that he had nowhere to vent his anger, but now he had found a punching bag. Crap! Before Ning Yu could react, He Hai, who was hiding inside the red demon sword, was startled. He Hai was from the He clan, thus he was extremely familiar with Hibation's aura. He Hai was well aware of Hibation's strength. As he did not know that Ning Yu's strength had improved significantly, He Hai did not think that Ning Yu could defeat He Batian. Hurry up and leave. The one in front is He Batian, Hihong's uncle. He Hai hurriedly transmitted his voice to Ning Yu to remind him. Hihong's uncle? Ning Yu was slightly startled, but he quickly recovered. He Batian posed no threat to him at all. Chapter 2262. He Batian is very powerful. He is ranked 7,000th on the Heavenly Lord substitute list. He Hai was very anxious when he saw that Ning Yu did not choose to leave. He Batian was a ruthless person. Anyone who offended him would not have a good ending. It's fine, Ning Yu said indifferently, indicating that He Hai did not need to worry. With his current strength, not to mention that He Batian was only ranked 7,000th. Even if he was ranked 5,000th, he could easily kill him. You killed Hihong. At this moment, Hibation's voice sounded. Hearing this, Ning Yu looked up at He Batian and said indifferently, "What does it have to do with you?" "What does it have to do with me? Haha, I am Hihong's uncle. Do you think it has anything to do with me?" He Batian raised the corner of his mouth and said sinisterly, "I will give you a chance to live. Kneel down, kowtow to me a few times, and then lick my toes. Otherwise, I will let you know why flowers." Swish! However, before He Batian could finish his words, Ning Yu turned into an afterimage and dashed out. Pa pa pa! He raised his right hand and continuously slapped Hibation's face. Under Ning Yu's slaps, Hibation's face gradually swelled up. What? The sudden change caused the expressions of the experts of the He clan to change, and their faces were filled with shock. What was going on? Why did He Batian stand there and let Ning Yu slap his face? Ning, you only stopped when Hibation's head swelled up like a pig's head. Ah! He Batian let out a hysterical scream as he touched his cheek. To be honest, not only did the He clan not understand, but even He Batian himself was a little confused. Go! All of you go! He Batian clenched his fists and roared fiercely. Whoever kills Ning Yu will be the next master of the He clan. Boom! As the saying went, there would be brave men under great rewards. The temptation of the He family's patriarch was too great. Although Ning Yu had beaten Hibation's head into a pig's head, in the eyes of the remaining He clan members, Ning Yu must have used evil arts. That was to say, they did not think that Ning Yu was stronger than He Batian. Voila! Everyone from the He clan moved and rushed toward Ning Yu. They were afraid that if they were a step too late, Ning Yu would be killed by others. Humph! You overestimate yourself. Ning Yu let out a cold snort as he watched everyone from the He clan charge towards him. He immediately took out the red demon sword and slashed repeatedly. Pu-piu-piu. Every time the red demon sword was swung, there would be a He clan elite who would be killed. In just a few seconds, only 7 or 8 of the He clan experts who attacked Ning Yu were left. According to this trend, it wouldn't be long before the He clan's powerhouses were completely annihilated. Damn it! Seeing that Ning Yu was so powerful, Hibation's face turned livid and he could not help but curse. Heading to the Cloud Valley this time, he brought dozens of He clan experts over. Unexpectedly, he did not get any benefits, and the He clan elites were all killed. One could imagine, if he went back like this, the Grand Supreme Patriarch would definitely not let him go. Fight! In desperation, Hibatian reached into his pocket with his right hand and took out a silver-white elixir. Crack! Hibatian chewed the elixir to pieces as soon as it entered his mouth. The rich elixir went down his throat and into his stomach. Boom! In an instant, a terrifying aura rushed out of Hibatian's body and shot into the sky. Oh no! Feeling the terrifying aura from Hibatian, Ningyu did not have any reaction, but Hong Yu's face changed. The Han clan of the brilliant Void territory had an unparalleled expert who was ranked 5,000 on the Heavenly Lord substitute list. According to Hong Yu's understanding, Hibatian's aura was even more terrifying than that of the Han clan's unparalleled expert. Previously, Hibatian was ranked 7,000 on the Heavenly Lord substitute list. Now, Hibatian's ranking could at least enter 5,000. Would Ningyu be a match for him? Hibatian twisted his neck, making a cracking sound, and said to Ningyu coldly, "I said that no one in the world can save you. Kneel down and kowtow to me a few times. Maybe idiot." Without waiting for Hibatian to finish, Ningyu withdrew the red demon sword and retreated to the other side. He said indifferently, "I really don't understand why an idiot like you can become the clan leader of the He clan. You're courting death." Hibatian trembled when he was interrupted by Ningyu. He shouted in a low voice, then turned into a shadow and rushed toward Ningyu. Rumble. It was just as Hong Yu had guessed. After swallowing the elixir, Hibatian's strength was enough to enter the top 5,000 on the Heavenly Lord substitute list. His strength is not bad. Looking at Hibatian, who was rushing towards him, Ningyu frowned slightly. Ningyu's original plan was to kill Hibatian, but now he suddenly changed his mind. It was better to capture him alive than to kill him. After all, half of the He clan's experts were still there. When the matter at Cloud Valley was settled, he would definitely go to the He clan in the Tyrant territory again. By then, Hibatian would be leading the way, which would save him a lot of unnecessary trouble. "Ningyu, you will pay with your blood today." Hibatian roared and punched at Ningyu's head with a violent gale of immortal energy. Hibatian's punch was extremely powerful. Even a peerless expert ranked in the top 5,000 on the Heavenly Lord substitute list might not be able to withstand it. He had used his full strength, not hesitating to overdraft his life force to unleash an attack, and the power of his attack had increased by several times at the very least. Bang! The next moment, Ningyu's right hand clenched into a fist and collided with Hibatian's fist. The two collided. Ningyu did not move from his spot, but Hibatian retreated dozens of feet before he could stabilize himself. With this strike, it was clear who was stronger. How is this possible? Hibatian's pupils constricted, and his face was full of disbelief. He really couldn't understand why Ningyu was able to easily block the move that he had put all his strength into. Could it be that Ningyu was pretending to be weak? Hibatian had analyzed Ningyu's strength from the battle scenes he had received from the memory crystal a few days ago. It had only been a few days. How could Ningyu's strength have soared to such a terrifying level? Hibatian did not believe it. There's nothing that's impossible. Ningyu did not continue to attack. Instead, he said lightly, "I will give you a chance to live. Relax." Swoosh! Hibatian's face darkened. He knew what it meant to relax. Once he relaxed his mind, it was very likely that he would become a lamb waiting to be slaughtered by Ningyu. However, he was no match for Ningyu if he did not relax. Run! Just for a moment. Hibatian made his decision. Run as far as he could. He would only have a chance to take revenge if he survived. If he was controlled by Ningyu, he would never be able to take revenge for the rest of his life. Run? Chapter 2263. Phew! Hibatian looked back as he ran. He heaved a sigh of relief when he realized that Ningyu had not caught up. Humph! When I return to the He clan and report to the Supreme Patriarch, He'll definitely cut you into pieces. He Batian snorted coldly. He Batian thought for a moment and said sinisterly, "Before I return to the He clan, I'll make a trip to Sky Star City and turn it into hell on earth." He Batian could not help but laugh weirdly, as though he could already see the destruction of Sky Star City. "Is that so?" At that moment, an indifferent voice suddenly rang in Hebatian's ears. "Yes, no, you." Hebatian nodded before shaking his head. He looked at the familiar figure in front of him and said in fear, "How did you catch up to me?" "Is it strange to catch up to you?" Ning Yu shrugged. "I gave you a chance to live, but you didn't know how to cherish it. Don't blame me if that's the case. It won't be that easy to kill me." Hebatian's expression was cold as he revealed a determined expression. Buzz buzz! The immortal chi in his body surged as Hebatian's body began to swell. "Even if I die, I'll drag someone down with me," Hebatian said coldly, the self-destruction of a peak stage saint immortal. "Even a half-step heavenly lord will be skinned." "Self-destruction in front of me? I have to say you're really naive." Ning Yu's expression was emotionless as he tossed the red fiend's sword in his hand. Swoosh! The red fiend's sword drew a mark in the air and arrived in front of Hebatian in the blink of an eye. Block it! At the critical moment, Hebatian also took out a red flying sword and placed it in front of him. However, how high was the level of the red fiend sword? Recently, the red fiend's sword had been devouring, causing his strength to reach the saint immortal realm. The red flying sword that Hebatian took out was not of a particularly high level. It was naturally at a disadvantage against the red fiend sword. Crack! A crisp sound was heard. The red flying sword in Hebatian's hand broke into two. Puff! As for the red devil sword, it was under the dual control of Ningyu and the red devil. Taking advantage of Hebatian's carelessness, it suddenly stabbed into his heart. Chi, 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 chi. As soon as the red fiend's sword pierced through Hebatian's heart, the red fiend's sword began its frenzied devouring. "Oh my God! Leave some for me!" Ning Yu cursed on the spot. Hebatian's ranking on the Heavenly Lord substitute list was as high as 7,000. Devouring him would increase his strength by at least 5%. Puff! Not long after, Hebatian was devoured by Ningyu and the red fiend into human skin. "I'll go into seclusion first." After saying that, the red fiend fell completely silent. After devouring Hebatian, Hong Mo was confident that his cultivation base would rise to the intermediate Saint Immortal stage, or even the Mastery Saint Immortal stage. "You win." Ning Yu rolled his eyes. He didn't gain anything from competing with the Red Devil for the energy in Hebatian's body. Both sides were evenly matched. That was to say, the Red Fiend's devouring ability was no weaker than his. In a sense, it was even stronger than him. Without staying there, Ning Yu kept the Red Fiend's sword and immediately flew towards Hong Yu. A few seconds later, Ning Yu came to Hong Yu's side and stopped. "Where's Hebatian?" Hong Yu asked hurriedly when she saw Ning Yu coming back alone. "Dead." Ning Yu replied casually, and then began to deal with the corpses of the He clan's experts. Apart from Hebatian, there were another 20 to 30 Saint Immortal experts in the He clan. These people were also not a small amount of wealth. Ignoring Hong Yu's shocked gaze, Ning Yu exerted the devouring power in his body and devoured the He clan's experts crazily. Almost every few seconds, an expert from the He clan would be devoured. Very good. In just over a minute, the He clan's experts were all devoured by Ning Yu. Feeling the density of the immortal chi in his body, Ning Yu nodded in satisfaction. Then, he flicked his fingers and several flames of immortal chi came out to dispose of the He clan's corpses so that there was no evidence. Gulp. Ning Yu's brutal performance made Hong Yu swallow a mouthful of saliva. Hong Yu thought that she had overestimated Ning Yu. However, Ning Yu's performance made her realize that she was wrong. Being able to kill Hibatian so easily meant that Ning Yu was at least ranked in the top 5,000 on the Lord of Heaven's substitute list. Let's go. There's an area ahead. I heard that there are corpses of Half-Step, Lord of Heaven, Realm, heavenly demons there. Ning Yu waved at Hong Yu and said, "Let's work together and get the corpses first." When he devoured Hibatian, Ning Yueshun also devoured his most recent memories. Devouring Hibatian's memories was a great risk for Ning Yu. After all, Hibatian was a peerless expert at the peak of the Saint Immortal stage. With Ning Yu's current strength, he could only devour Hibatian's memories for the last 10 minutes or so. If he wanted to go any further, he wouldn't be able to. Half-Step Lord of Heaven Realm corpse. Hearing this, Hong Yu was stunned at first. Then she stepped on the ground and followed Ning Yu closely. She went to Xia Yin Valley to get the corpses of Lord of Heaven Realm corpse. But there must be many experts fighting for the corpses of Lord of Heaven Realm corpse. It would be good if she could get the corpses of Lord of Heaven Realm corpse. Swish, swish. According to his memory, Ning Yu soon came to the blocked entrance. Let go. Ning Yu waved his hand and motioned Hong Yu to take a step back. Hong Yu understood and took a few steps back. Ning Yu clenched his right hand into a fist, and with a violent force, he punched the blocked entrance in front of him. Rumble. Just one punch. The entrance was blasted open. Bang! Even the martial artists guarding the entrance were blasted away. Clatter! The sudden change caused the expressions of all the martial artists in the space to change, especially Wu Minghe and the gray-robed old man. Their faces were gloomy to the extreme. Originally, they had pushed Hibatian away and were thinking of pushing Du Shiryong away. Who would have thought that at the critical moment when Du Shiryong and the gray-robed old man were fighting, an entrance was suddenly blasted open? How dare you! Wu Minghe's face was gloomy. This is not a place where you can come. Guards! The gray-robed old man stopped fighting with Du Shiryong and said coldly, "Kill these two rascals." Wait. Du Shiryong rolled his eyes and felt that the opportunity had come. He took a step forward and said in a deep voice, "The altar is about to appear. It's not a good time to fight. In my opinion, let them stay." Stay? Wu Minghe raised his eyebrows and said, "You can stay, but you have to take a punch from me." The word punch was heard. Wu Minghe, he stomped on the ground and rushed toward Ning Yu. Almost in an instant, Wu Minghe came to Ning Yu's side, clenched his right fist, and suddenly punched. Bang! Facing Wu Minghe's attack, Ning Yu also raised his right hand and collided with Wu Minghe's fist. Swish! Swish! After one move, Ning Yu and Wu Minghe, he took a few steps back at the same time. Chapter 2264. What vigorous immortal chi! Wu Minghe looked at Ning Yu coldly, his heart in turmoil. It should be known, in order to kill his opponent with a single punch, he had used a total of 80% of his strength in that move. He thought he could kill Ning Yu easily. Who would have thought that they would be evenly matched? His strength is so. He should be ranked in the top 4,000 on the Heavenly Lord substitute list. Ning Yu was not too shocked. Wu Minghe had used 80% of his power, whereas he had only used 30% of his power. In this area, the only martial artist that he was afraid of was the gray-robed old man. He could feel a frightening aura from the gray-robed old man. It was no surprise. The gray-robed old man's true strength was at least in the top 4,000 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list. Of course, this was under the premise that he had not used his trump cards. If the gray-robed old man still had some trump cards, he could even be in the top 3,500 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list. You are qualified to stay. After weighing the pros and cons, Wu Minghe finally chose to compromise and let Ning Yu and Hong Yu stay. Wu Minghe was not a reckless man. He knew very well that unless he teamed up with the gray-robed old man, he could not drive Ningyu out by himself. He had communicated with the gray-robed old man. However, the gray-robed old man did not pay attention to him. He Wuming had no choice but to compromise. Welcome, both of you. Du Shiyong was the most excited when He Wuming chose to compromise. He quickly waved at Ningyu and Hongyu and said, "In a dozen minutes, the corpse of a half-step heavenly lord realm heavenly demon will appear. At that time, we might as well." Du Shiyong did not finish a sentence, but what he meant was self-evident. He wanted to join forces with Ningyu. He Wuming and the gray-robed old man were powerful, and they had the backing of the brilliant Void Weave and the Xylan Weave. If Du Shiyong did not find a partner, even if the corpse of a half-step heavenly lord appeared, it would have nothing to do with him. Therefore, he was looking forward to joining forces with Ningyu. "We'll talk about it when the time comes." Ningyu waved his hand and said indifferently, to him, even if the gray-robed old man was powerful, he was not afraid. "Don't. He Wuming is from the brilliant Void Weaves He clan. The gray-robed elder is called Yangming, and he's from the Violet Orchid Weave." Ningyu's reaction made Du Shiyong panic. If he couldn't find a partner to cooperate with, he would most likely suffer when Yangming and Crane obtained the heavenly demon's corpse. Nameless Crane? Ningyu raised his eyebrows. Not long ago, he killed a young man called He Wushuang. This young man was called Nameless Crane. It was obvious that they had a close relationship. That's right. He Wuming is a peerless genius of the He family. His strength is exceptionally strong. Du Shiyong quickly said. In order to hitch a ride on Ningyu's ship, Du Shiyong tried his best to keep a low profile. Ningyu nodded and said, "We can work together, but I don't want you to play any tricks." "Don't worry, I won't play any tricks." Seeing that Ningyu had agreed, Du Shiyong patted his chest and promised. Whoosh! Du Shiyong had found a powerful helper. The group of itinerant cultivators behind him revealed a look of relief. In the previous period of time, they could be said to have suffered a lot of supercilious looks. Whether it was the He family's martial artists or the martial artists of the Xylan Weave, none of them treated them as humans. Now that Ningyu had joined them, they instantly straightened up. Drip! Drip! Time was ticking away. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 minutes had passed. Rumble! All of a sudden, the ground caved in, and an altar that wasn't particularly large slowly rose from the ground. Swish! Seeing the altar rise, all the cultivators in the area shifted their gazes over. Everyone knew very well. Inside the altar, there was a half-step heavenly monarch realm, heavenly demon's corpse. Swish! 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 Under the temptation of the half-step heavenly demon's corpse, more than a dozen martial artists sprang out and rushed to the altar. Puff! Puff! The result was obvious. Before these martial artists could even get close to the altar, they were hit in the heart by the cold light that shot out from the altar and died on the spot. Hiss! The sudden change caused the surrounding martial artists to suck in a breath of cold air. They were glad that they didn't rush out like idiots. Otherwise, one of the martial artists lying on the ground would definitely be among them. What fools! He Wuming looked at everything coldly and said in a deep voice, "All members of the He family, listen up. Whoever dares to act without my permission, don't blame me for being impolite." Yes, the He family's martial artists responded in unison. Yang family's men, step back. Yang Ming also shouted in a deep voice. Swish! The Yang family's martial artists tactfully took a few steps back and retreated to the entrance of the area. Their intention was clear. As long as there was something wrong, they would immediately leave. Where there was life, there was hope. Only by living could there be hope. Ah, I've let you see a joke. Seeing that none of the He family and the Yang family rushed out, Du Shiyong scratched his head awkwardly. Although he was the leader of the Itinerant Cultivators Alliance, his deterrent power did not exist at all. The dozen martial artists who rushed out just now, without exception, were all from the Itinerant Cultivators Alliance. Now, there were only 8 martial artists from the Itinerant Cultivators Alliance standing next to him, including him, Ningyu and Hongyu. In other words, only 5 martial artists did not act on their own. It's okay. Ningyu waved his hand, indicating that Du Shiryong did not have to worry about it. These people from the Itinerant Cultivators Alliance were unorganized and undisciplined. They were completely a mass of loose sand. If you were with them, you would be sold sooner or later. Boom! At this moment, the altar was completely out of the ground and fell steadily. Swish! As soon as the altar stabilized, He Wuming, Yangming, Du Shiryong, and Ningyu naturally took a step forward. Apart from Hongyu, there might only be 4 of them who were qualified and had the strength to approach the altar. Hong, you originally wanted to participate in the fight for the half-step Lord of Heaven's corpse. However, when she saw that Ningyu was very interested, she immediately chose to give up. To be fair, the 4 of us, each of us has a chance. He Wuming glanced at the faces of Ningyu and Yangming and said in a deep voice, I'll go first. Why do you have to go first? Du Shiryong's face was very ugly. Since we want to be fair, we should go first. Stop quarreling. Yangming waved his hand and said impatiently, as for who goes first, according to the ranking of the Lord of Heaven substitute list. I don't agree. I don't agree. Du Shiryong and He Wuming said in unison. Everyone wanted to be the first to approach the altar, because the first person to approach the altar had the highest probability of grabbing the Lord of Heaven's corpse. Give it to them. Ningyu patted Du Shiryong on the shoulder and said lightly, the corpse in the altar is not simple. With your strength, it is basically impossible to take it away. Chapter 2265. Not simple? Haha, if you are weak, just say so. Why are you looking for excuses? He Wuming smiled and said disdainfully, only trash will look for excuses. Those with real strength will take the initiative to challenge. Idiot. Ningyu rolled his eyes. There was indeed a corpse in the altar. However, the corpse was not at the half-step Lord of Heaven level, but the corpse of a Lord of Heaven level heavenly demon. Ningyu knew that he did not have the ability to subdue the corpse of a Lord of Heaven level heavenly demon for the time being. Since He Wuming wanted to take the lead, it was better to let him do it first and reap the benefits. What did you say? Although Ningyu's voice was not loud, He Wuming still heard it. I dare you to say it again. He Wuming was extremely angry. In his opinion, it was not that he did not want to kill Ningyu, but that he was thinking about the overall situation. Unexpectedly, Ningyu was getting more and more arrogant. Wouldn't I lose face if I said it just because you asked me to? Ningyu shrugged, then took a few steps back and stood next to Hongyu. Okay, you can be the first one to approach the altar. Seeing that He Wuming wanted to fight with Ningyu, he waved his hand and said to He Wuming, as for whether we can get the corpse of the heavenly demon or not, it has little to do with us. Humph, just you wait. He Wuming glared fiercely at Ningyu, then stomped his feet on the ground and charged towards the altar. Why give it to him? Hongyu frowned and said doubtfully, you are not weak. If you are the first one to approach the altar, you should have a good chance of taking it. You are too naive. Ningyu shook his head slowly and then said, there is indeed a corpse in the altar, but the cultivation of the corpse was at the Lord of Heaven level when it was alive. What? Hongyu's mouth was slightly open, and her face was full of disbelief. She quickly used a secret method and began to observe the altar. Hiss! She sucked in a breath of cold air when she saw what it was. Ningyu was right. The corpse in the altar was a heavenly monarch when it was alive. There was an insurmountable gap between a half-step heavenly lord and a heavenly lord. Their corpses were also as different as heaven and earth. Ning, you might be able to easily take away the corpse of a half-step heaven monarch, but it might be difficult for him to even get close to the corpse of a heaven monarch. Why don't you give this corpse to me? Hong Yu's eyes flickered. She gritted her teeth and said, I can help you collect the celestial demon's corpse in the future. Are you sure you can take him away? Ning Yu stared into Hong Yue's eyes and hesitated. Don't worry. I have my ways, Hong Yu said in a deep voice. Well, good luck, Ning Yu said. In fact, there was one thing that Hong Yu did not guess correctly. Ning Yu would not be able to take away an ordinary human Lord of Heaven's corpse. However, Ning Yu had a way to deal with the corpse of the Lord of Heaven among the Sky Fiends. The Heavenly Demon Tower. The Heavenly Demon Tower had a fatal restraint on the Sky Fiends. The Heavenly Demon Tower might not be able to deal with a living Lord of Heaven, but it could still deal with a dead Lord of Heaven. Ah! Ning Yu was still talking to Hong Yu. He Wuming was already close to the corpse. It was a pity. He Wuming's palm had just touched the altar when a cold light shot out from the altar. Even though he tried his best to dodge, he still failed and was hit in the chest by the cold light. Crack! 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 3 crisp sounds were heard in a row. He Wuming's ribs were broken on the spot. Bang! As for Wuming Crane himself, he crashed heavily into the ground and fell face first onto the ground. Puff! He Wuming's breath began to drop sharply as he spat out blood. Damn it! Nameless Crane cursed inwardly as his nose became crooked. He Wuming had fought for the right to be the first to get close to the altar, but he still failed. Let me do it! Yang Ming's expression was solemn. He pondered for a moment and finally dashed out. Yang Ming was very confident in his strength. He Wuming's failure did not mean that he would fail. After all, he was much stronger than He Wuming in terms of raw strength. He Wuming was confident that he could defeat and even kill Yang Ming in less than 100 moves. Come out! Yang Ming was very fast. He came to the altar in the blink of an eye. He stretched out his right hand and placed it on the altar. Swoosh! It was the same scene. A cold light shot out from the altar and went straight for Yang Ming's chest. Swish! Yang Ming reacted quickly. Before the altar reached his chest, he dodged it. Humph! Insignificant trick. After dodging the cold light, Yang Ming smirked and snorted. In the face of absolute strength, all schemes are useless. Oh no! Swoosh! However, Yang Ming's expression changed before he could finish his words. He had no time to think and immediately chose to retreat, because he noticed that several streaks of cold light shot out from the altar, and they were charging at him at an extremely terrifying speed. Moreover, the power of these cold lights was obviously much stronger than the previous one. Although he was strong, he had no confidence in facing so many cold lights. Puff! 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 The final result was not beyond everyone's expectations. Yang Ming failed to dodge the cold light attack and was hit in the chest by several cold lights. Crack! 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 A series of cracking sounds could be heard. Yang Ming's ribs were even more miserable than He Wuming's. He Wuming had 3 broken ribs, but Yang Ming had 4 or 5 broken ribs. Damn it! Yang Ming punched the ground heavily and roared angrily. At this time, he recalled Ning Yu's words. The corpse in the altar was not simple. When Ning Yu said that, although he did not mock him like He Wuming, he still felt some disdain deep in his heart. Now he finally understood. Ning Yu and the corpse in the altar were not simple. It's your turn! He Wuming looked at Ning Yu coldly and said fiercely, Both of us are close to the altar. You must get close to the altar too. He Wuming's mentality was very simple. Even if I am not good, I will never let you be good. This, Du Shiyong hesitated. Even He Wuming and Yang Ming were seriously injured. With his strength, he could only be cannon fodder. Let me do it. Hong Yu took a step forward and took out a palm-sized paper from his arms. The paper looked ordinary, but the color was a little blood red. Russell. Soon, Hong Yu came to the side of the altar. Pa. Without touching the altar with his hand, Hong Yu directly stuck the red paper on the altar. Chi. However, as soon as the paper was stuck on the altar, it suddenly burned and turned into ashes in the blink of an eye. How is this possible? This change was obviously beyond Hong Yu's expectation. Chapter 2266. Humph. Wooming. He curled his lips and snorted. I thought you were powerful. Turns out you're just a wax figure. He was a peak saint immortal expert. Although several of his ribs had been broken, it wasn't too difficult for him to reconnect them. He seemed to have recovered to his peak state. Not only did he mock Hong Yu, but he also looked at Ning Yu provocatively. How is this possible? How is this possible? Hong Yu stared at the burning paper in a daze, his face full of disbelief. One should know, the red paper was the family's treasure for dealing with heavenly demon corpses. The red paper played a big role in the Hong family survival in the Kungsu territory for so many years. After all, the Hong family had subdued many heavenly demon corpses with the help of the red paper. 10 years ago, the Hong family's current leader used the red paper to subdue a Lord of Heaven corpse. It's simple. Your paper is fake. Ning Yu shrugged his shoulders and pointed at the ashes on the ground. It can't even subdue a half-step Heaven Monarch Realm corpse, let alone a Heaven Monarch Realm corpse. Wow, you seem to know a lot about that red paper. He raised his eyebrows and said, Are you from the Hong family? In the vast Kungsu territory, only the Hong family has the authentic red paper. Everyone else's are all fake and inferior products. Idiot. Ning, you couldn't be bothered with Nameless Crane. He would have killed him if he wasn't afraid of affecting the corpses in the altar. How did an idiot like Nameless Crane manage to survive until now? You only know how to talk. He didn't care about Ning Yu's abuse at all. He said with an evil smile, Now everyone is near the altar except you and Du Shiyong. Are you afraid? It's hard to say. Du Shiyong is very timid. I don't think they dare to go. I bet a piece of essence crystal. 1 piece? I bet 1 million. They won't dare to go. He Wooming egged them on. The group of experts from the He family began to discuss among themselves. Of course, they were not discussing, but openly mocking Ning Yu. I'll bet 2. Puff. On the other side, a saint immortal expert from the Violet Orchid Weave was just about to speak when he was kicked to the ground by Yang Ming, causing him to fall flat on his face. Whoever dares to spout nonsense will be punished according to the family rules. Yang Ming looked back at everyone and said coldly. Yang Ming was very shrewd. He wouldn't allow the Yang family to do as they pleased. Ever since Ning Yu arrived, he had been very calm. In Yang Ming's opinion, Ning, you must be hiding something. Du Shiyong hesitated. He looked at Ning Yu, not knowing what to do. Even Yang Ming and Wooming Crane were trapped in a tight encirclement, let alone him. Let me do it. Ning Yu patted Du Shiyong's shoulder and said lightly, You two go out first. Go out? Why do you want to go out? Du Shiyong was puzzled. If you don't want to die, you can stay. Ning Yu shrugged, indicating that it didn't matter. Russell. Hong, you didn't ask any more questions. She moved her feet and left. Seeing Hong Yu leave, Du Shiyong seemed to be struggling. Okay, I'll go too. In the end, Du Shiyong seemed to have made a difficult decision. He followed Hong Yu and left. What a pair of wise men. Seeing Hong Yu and Du Shiyong leave in a daze, Wooming Crane said disdainfully, Leaving now is equivalent to giving up the fight for the Lord of Heaven's body. You guys go too. Looking at Hong Yu and Du Shiyong's backs, Yang Ming pondered for a moment, then said to the Yang family behind him, No one is allowed to come back without my permission. Old Yang, we don't have to go, right? The members of the Yang family looked at each other, and all of them could see the shock in each other's eyes. They knew why Hong Yu and Du Shiyong left. After all, they had offended Wu Ming Crane. If they stayed, they wouldn't have a good time. But why did they leave? In terms of numbers, they were no less than the He family. In terms of top combat power, Yang Ming wasn't weaker than Wu Ming Crane. In general, the Yang family wasn't afraid of the He family at all. You don't even listen to me? Yang Ming's face gradually became cold, and he said in a deep voice, I'll give you 3 seconds. After 3 seconds, whoever dares to wander in front of me will be punished according to the family rules. Okay. Hearing the word family rules, the Yang family immediately compromised. The Yang family's family rules were well known in the Xylan territory. Swoosh! The next moment, everyone from the Yang family moved and left the area in an instant. Humph! I'd like to see what tricks you're playing today. Wu Ming Crane's face became extremely cold. He stared at Ning Yu and snorted. Hurry up and get close to the altar! Ning Yu wasn't impulsive. He first hid the heavenly demon tower in his sleeve, then carefully walked toward the altar. Although he had the heavenly demon tower, Ning Yu didn't dare to be careless. After all, the body of a Lord of Heaven was not simple. Hee, look at how careful you are. I guess you're also a wax head with a silver spear. Wu Ming Crane raised the corner of his mouth and smiled. How could a wax head with a silver spear be possible? In my opinion, he's just a wooden stick at best. Calling him a wooden stick is a bit of a compliment. He's just a potato. Ha ha ha. The He family sneered again. With He Wu Ming backing them up, they became more and more unscrupulous. Look, he's going to touch the altar with his hands. A He family martial artist pointed at Ning Yu and shouted. Swoosh! Hearing that, all the martial artists in the area shifted their eyes to Ning Yu. Yang Ming of the Xylan territory frowned slightly, a puzzled expression on his face. He admitted that Ning Yu gave him a very mysterious feeling. However, no matter how mysterious he was, he shouldn't touch the altar with his hands. He didn't believe that Ning Yu's strength was comparable to his. Ning Yu turned a deaf ear to the crowd's reaction. He reached out his right hand and slowly approached the altar. Rumble. However, before Ning Yu's palm touched the altar, it began to shake violently. Moreover, the frequency of the shaking became faster and faster, to a terrifying extent. Ha ha ha. What did I say? A wax head with a silver spear. It's really a wax head with a silver spear. The sudden change did not make Wu Ming Crane nervous at all. On the contrary, he jumped up and taunted, looking like he deserved a beating. Whoosh! 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 Retribution always came quickly for people like Wu Ming Crane. As the altar shook, several beams of cold light shot out from it. The cold light was very fast. Almost in an instant, it arrived in front of Wu Ming Crane. Block it! At this time, Wu Ming Crane was finally moved. He waved his hands and performed several palm prints to block the attack of the cold light. Chapter 2267. Ah! My eyes! My nose! Who saw my nose? Hey, you're stepping on my ear. Get out of my way. Under the attack of so many cold lights, for a moment, all kinds of shouts and curses came one after another. The whole area instantly turned into hell on earth. Relatively speaking, Yang Ming felt somewhat fortunate. Fortunately, he evacuated the Yang family in advance. Otherwise, the He family's current situation would be a true portrayal of the Yang family. Damn it! Looking back at the He family's miserable state, He Wu Ming's nose was crooked. He was unable to deal with the cold lights alone, let alone help the He family. Therefore, he could only watch the He family members die one after another. Ning Yu! He Wuming transferred the hatred in his heart to Ningyu. He clenched his fists and looked at Ningyu fiercely. I, He Wuming, will not live under the same sky with you. Even if you run to the ends of the earth, I will definitely kill you. Swish! At this moment, a cold light suddenly appeared in front of He Wuming, blasting at his head. It was a critical moment. He Wuming hurriedly dodged to the side, barely dodging the cold light's attack. However, even so, his cheek was still cut by the cold light, and a bloody scar appeared. He Wuming touched the bloody mark on his cheek and made up his mind. No matter what, they all wanted to kill Ningyu. If he was alive, they wanted to see him. If he was dead, they wanted to see his corpse. Rumble. Ning, you didn't care about He Wuming's reaction. At this moment, his eyes were fixed on the rapidly rotating altar, and a storm was set off in his heart. He originally thought that there was only one Heaven Monarch, Realm Heaven Devil's corpse in the altar, but now he knew that he was wrong. He was ridiculously wrong. There were a total of 3 heavenly demon corpses in the altar. 2 half-step heavenly demon corpses and 1 heavenly demon corpses. Collect them. Ningyu's mind moved, and he quietly threw the heavenly demon tower into the altar when they weren't paying attention. Using the heavenly demon tower to collect the heavenly demon's corpse was perfect. However, Ning, you didn't want Nameless Crane and Yangming to see it. If they saw it, the consequences would be unimaginable. Who said that he was not afraid of He Wuming? However, for He Wuming to become the peerless genius of the He family, He Wuming should have some trump cards. Under such circumstances, once Yangming and Crane joined hands to besiege him, he would fall into a dangerous situation. Buzz! As soon as the heavenly demon pagoda entered the altar, it began to devour the Heaven Monarch Realm corpses in a frenzy. Ningyu planned to collect the Heaven Monarch Realm corpse first. As for the other 2, he decided not to touch them for the time being. Otherwise, he would inevitably be besieged by Yangming and Wuminghe. Drip! Drip! Time was ticking away. In the blink of an eye, 10 minutes had passed. In these 10 minutes, there were only 3 warriors left in the entire area. All the rogue cultivators were dead. Everyone from the He clan had died a horrible death. Only the powerful Ningyu, Nameless Crane, and Yangming were still alive. Whoosh! 10 minutes was enough for the Heavenly Demon Tower to collect the Heaven Monarch Realm corpse. Ningyu slapped the altar, quietly withdrew the Heavenly Demon Tower, and retreated to the other side. At the moment, the situation in the secret room was that Ningyu, Wuminghe, and Yangming had formed a tripod. The altar was in the center. There are 2 half-step Heaven Monarch Realm corpses in the altar. Ningyu put away the Heavenly Demon Tower and said indifferently, "There are 3 of us. In my opinion, let's discuss how to distribute it first." Distribute it? As soon as Ningyu's voice fell, Wuminghe shouted, "The distribution is very simple. The 3 of us will exchange pointers. Whoever is weak will get lost." "I agree," Yangming echoed. Seeing that Ningyu did not speak, Wuminghe said coldly, "Are you afraid?" "Afraid? Hee, the word afraid does not exist in my dictionary." Ningyu smiled faintly and said, "I was thinking about something. What is the relationship between He Wushuang and you?" "He is my brother." "Wuming," he said proudly. But soon, Wuminghe realized that something was wrong. How could Ningyu be He Wushuang? No wonder. Ningyu shrugged and said, "You 2 do look alike." "What did you do to my brother?" Wuminghe shouted coldly. "If anything happens to him, I will kill you." "I'm sorry, but your brother won't have the chance to die because he has already gone to hell," Ningyu said calmly. "What? You killed my brother?" Wuminghe's pupils shrank, and even the veins on his forehead were bulging. In the He family, he had the best relationship with He Wushuang. It was also his idea to go to the evil spirit battlefields, Cloud Valley. He did not expect that he would get separated from He Wushuang as soon as they entered the Cloud Valley. How could he not be angry when he heard that He Wushuang was killed by Ningyu. Swoosh! Stamping his feet on the ground, Wu-Ming Crane dashed forward at high speed, arriving in front of Ningyu in the blink of an eye. Then he punched out with a violent, immortal energy gale toward Ningyu's head. Crack! Facing the incoming punch, Ningyu raised his right hand and casually threw a punch. The two collided. A crisp sound rang out. Ningyu stood on the same spot, but Wu-Ming he retreated several meters before coming to a stop. Uft! Fresh blood spurted out. Wu-Ming he's aura dropped from the peak Saint Immortal Realm to the late-stage Saint Immortal Realm. Crack! However, Wu-Ming he quickly took out a white pill from his pocket and tossed it into his mouth to chew. In an instant, his aura soared from the late-stage Saint Immortal Realm to the peak Saint Immortal Realm. A Heavenly Monarch grade pill. Ningyu's expression was grave. There were 3 grades of Heavenly Monarch grade pills: Lower Heavenly Pill, Middle Heavenly Pill, and Heavenly Pill. The white pill that Wu-Ming he swallowed should belong to the Lower Heavenly Pill category. Even a Lower Heavenly Pill could instantly replenish the immortal chi of a peak Saint Immortal Realm martial artist. It could be said that, with the Lower Heavenly Pill, Wu-Ming he's overall combat strength would increase by at least several times. It's good that you know. Wu-Ming he twisted his neck and said, "That was just a warm-up. The real battle is coming up next. Yang-Ming, let's join forces and kill Ningyu. Then we'll each take one of the half-step Heavenly Lord corpses in the altar." Through the exchange just now, Wu-Ming he had a rough idea of Ningyu's strength. He might not be able to win if they fought to the death. Therefore, he wanted to join forces with Yang-Ming to deal with Ningyu. That's what I mean. Ningyu took a step forward and said, "Kill Yang-Ming and divide his heavenly pills. Then we'll each take one of the heavenly demon corpses in the altar. You two are putting me in a difficult position." Yang-Ming showed a hesitant expression. Since there were only 2 corpses in the altar, he could only side with one. He had to choose a side. There was only one chance. If he chose the right side, he would get the heavenly demon corpses. Chapter 2268. What's so difficult about that? With our strength, isn't it a piece of cake for us to kill a half-step Saint Immortal trash? Upon seeing Yang-Ming's hesitation, Wu-Ming Crane waved his hand disdainfully. In his opinion, he might not be able to pose a threat to Ningyu in a one-on-one fight. However, as long as he and Yang-Ming worked together, they could definitely kill Ningyu easily. Let me think about it. Yang-Ming thought about it and extended 3 fingers. 3 minutes. I'll give you an answer in 3 minutes. Humph. Wu-Ming Crane snorted coldly and did not rush Yang-Ming. Wu-Ming Crane was no fool. Right now, Yang-Ming was the boss. If he angered Yang-Ming and caused Yang-Ming to side with Ningyu, he would lose more than he gained. You only have 1 minute to think about it. Wu-Ming Crane was afraid of lively Yang-Ming, but Ningyu was not. Wu-Ming Crane waved his hand and said plainly, "Because my patience is limited." "Your patience is limited? Ha ha ha." Wu-Ming Crane was startled at first when he heard Ningyu's words. Then he threw his head back and laughed maniacally. Initially, Wu-Ming Crane was worried that Yang-Ming would side with Ningyu, but now the worry in his heart disappeared completely. If he were in Ningyu's shoes, he would not be able to tolerate it either. However, Yang-Ming's reaction was beyond Wu-Ming Crane's expectations. Yang-Ming merely frowned slightly and said, "There's no need to wait for a minute. I can give you an answer now. I want to work with you to deal with Wu-Ming Crane." Boom! Wu-Ming Crane's head exploded. He would never have thought that Yang-Ming would choose to work with Ningyu. One should know that Ningyu was very disdainful of Yang-Ming's performance. Very well, very well. The mountains will not change, and the rivers will flow forever. We will meet again. Even though he was very unwilling, Wu-Ming Crane did not do anything extreme. After leaving a harsh sentence, he turned and walked out. Swoosh! Swoosh! However, how could Ningyu and Yangming allow Nameless Crane to escape? For Ningyu, Hongyu, and Du Shiyong were outside. For Yangming, the Yang family was outside. Once Nameless Crane left, he would definitely take revenge on them. Since they had decided to cooperate, Ningyu and Yangming would naturally join hands to deal with Nameless Crane. His figure flashed. Ningyu and Yangming appeared in front of Nameless Crane at the same time, blocking his way. What do you want? Wuming's expression was gloomy as he shouted in a low voice. Rumble. Ningyu and Yangming didn't waste any time and attacked at the same time. Among them, Ningyu wielded the red demon sword and slashed out a sword radiance in the air. Yangming took out a palm-sized dagger and threw it out. Chi-chi! The dagger and the sword beam moved at the same time, arriving in front of Crane in the blink of an eye. Block! It was a critical moment. Wuming Crane hurriedly gathered the true energy in his body onto his fist, wanting to block the sword light and the dagger attack. Uft! However, given Yangming and Ningyu's strength, there was no way Wuming Crane could block them. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Wuming Crane was sent flying, slamming heavily into the ground and falling flat on his face. Crack! Although he had fallen, he didn't care at all. He immediately took out a white medicinal pill and tossed it into his mouth. The white medicinal pill entered his stomach. In almost an instant, Wuming Crane's aura returned to its peak state. In fact, Wuming Crane's aura even grew stronger. A peak inferior grade heavenly pill. Without a doubt, the white medicinal pill Wuming Crane had just consumed was a peak inferior grade heavenly pill. It was only one step away from becoming a mid-grade heavenly pill. It won't be that easy to kill me. Wuming Crane stood up and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. I'll remember the two of you. As long as I don't die, don't think about having an easy time. Who will make a move? Ning, you didn't care about Wuming Crane's threat. He looked at Yangming and said calmly, whoever kills Wuming Crane will obtain his heavenly pill. I'll let you have it, Yangming said without hesitation. Yangming had some understanding of Wuming Crane. As the #1 genius of the brilliant Void Territories, he family, Wuming Crane was very powerful. If one was careless when fighting with him, they would fail miserably. Although Yangming wanted the lower heavenly pill, he wanted the heavenly demon's corpse even more. Swoosh! Yangming was afraid of failing miserably, but Ningyu wasn't afraid. Through the short exchange just now, Ningyu had roughly determined Wuming Crane's true combat strength. Even if Wuming Crane had some trump cards, he was definitely no match for Yangming. Moreover, would Wuming Crane dare to use his trump cards? After all, there was still Yangming eyeing him covetously. As long as Wuming Crane wasn't a fool, he would never use his trump cards. And this was the reason why Ningyu attacked without mercy. Kill! Ningyu held the red demon sword and slashed at Wuming Crane's heart. It was an ordinary slash. On the surface, Ningyu's slash seemed ordinary. It didn't even cause the slightest ripple. However, only Ningyu knew that. The power of this slash was equivalent to his full force attack. The reason why he concealed it was because he wanted to catch Wuming Crane off guard. Only by catching Wuming Crane off guard could he kill Wuming Crane without using his trump cards. You want to kill me with such little strength? Wuming Crane smirked as he looked at the flying sword stabbing at him. He didn't take it seriously at all. With the lower heavenly pill in hand, Wuming Crane didn't panic. As long as Ningyu couldn't kill him with one slash, he could use the lower heavenly pill to recover. Is that so? Wuming Crane's reaction made Ningyu's lips curl up. You seem to have a misunderstanding about strength. As soon as he said that, Ningyu dashed out and appeared in front of Wuming Crane at an astonishing speed. Oh no, The sudden change was out of Wu Ming Crane's expectations. He didn't have time to think and immediately chose to retreat. Poochie! Only then did Wu Ming Crane think of retreating. But it was already too late. Ning Yu held the red fiend's sword and stabbed him in the heart. Moreover, Ning Yu's eyes and hands were sharp, and he snatched the lower heaven pill a step ahead of him. After losing the lower heavenly pill, Wu Ming Crane couldn't help but scream. He relied on the lower heavenly pill. Now that the pill was snatched away by Ningyu, it was equivalent to having one of his arms chopped off. Of course, that wasn't the main point. The main point was that Wu Ming Crane's heart had been pierced by the red fiend sword. Generally speaking, with the heart pierced, unless some ancient almighty came back to life, it was impossible to survive. Was Wu Ming Crane an ancient almighty? The answer was obviously not. I'm going to kill you and turn your bones to dust. On his deathbed, Wu Ming Crane took out a blue talisman and growled, If I die, you won't have it easy either. Oh no, it's the Heavenly Monarch talisman. Chapter 2269 Heavenly Monarch Talisman. As the name suggested, it was a kind of talisman made by a heavenly lord. Normally, the explosion of a Heavenly Monarch talisman was equivalent to a full-force attack from a half-step Heavenly Monarch. Some high-grade Heaven Monarch talisman amulets could even reach a Heaven Monarch expert's all-out attack. The talisman that Wu Ming he had taken out was clearly the former, but even so, it would be hard for Ningyu and Yang Ming to resist. After all, with the strength of Ningyu and Yang Ming, it was impossible for them to fight with a half-step Heavenly Lord for the time being. We must stop him. Yang Ming clenched his fists and said fiercely, The explosion of the Heaven Monarch talisman is very powerful. We definitely can't withstand it. Whoosh! Whoosh! Ning Yu was not an indecisive person. After Yang Ming's reminder, he immediately rushed out and charged toward Nameless Crane. On the other hand, Yang Ming rushed out together. Buzz! However, when Yang Ming was about to approach Crane Wu Ming, he suddenly turned his head and swept toward the exit. Yang Ming's speed was very fast, and he even used all his strength. Ningyu, I'll leave this place to you. I'll keep an eye on your friends outside. After finishing this sentence, Yang Ming disappeared from the sight of Ningyu and Nameless Crane. Ka 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 ka. At the same time, Yang Ming also blocked all 4 exits. Ha ha ha. Seeing that the cave entrance was sealed, Wu Ming Crane could not help but throw his head back and laugh. Retribution. This is retribution. Uft. As he laughed maniacally, Wu Ming he spat out a mouthful of blood. Explode! Wu Ming he forcefully endured the pain coming from his entire body and shouted in a low voice. Fortunately, Nameless Crane was powerful and had a deep foundation. Otherwise, with his heart pierced through, there was no way he could have lasted until now. This, however, right after Wu Ming he said those words, his pupils shrank. With an expression of disbelief, he looked at Ningyu, who had appeared before him. Thump! His body fell backwards. Wu Ming died on the spot. Even in death, Wu Ming Crane did not understand. Why would Ningyu suddenly appear in front of him? However, he would never be able to find the answer to this question for the rest of his life. Shio! Shio! As soon as Nameless Crane died, 2 figures darted out from the Red Demon Sword. Red Devil Dark Emperor. Wu Ming was a peak saint immortal expert. He was ranked in the top 10,000 on the Heavenly Lord substitute list. Devouring them was even more effective than devouring General Dong. I can't believe it. Seeing the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil devouring Nameless Ningyu could not help but curse. During the battle, they didn't put in much effort. Now that it was time to enjoy the fruits of their labor, each of them was faster than the other. Leave some for me, Ningyu said hurriedly. Don't. Why are you fighting with us? The Dark Emperor hurriedly stood in front of Nameless He and said, You already have a peerless medicinal pill. These small fries, don't fight with us for it. All right. Helplessly, Ningyu spread his hands and said lightly, I was going to give you the corpse of a half-step heaven monarch, realm, heavenly demon. Since you want to devour this, I have no choice but to part with it. Go, 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 don't delay us. What? Originally, the Dark Emperor wanted to urge Ningyu to leave quickly. However, when he heard the words Heavenly Lord, he jumped on the spot. Compared to the corpse of a half-step heaven monarch, he Wuming was nothing. Ningyu, brother Ning, brother you said there was a heavenly lord corpse. Is that true? The Dark Emperor immediately abandoned He Wuming and trotted to Ningyu's side. He rubbed his head against Ningyu and asked, I haven't had a taste of a heavenly lord. Can I have a taste? Bang! Ning, you kicked the Dark Emperor's butt and sent him flying. Go play in the mud. Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, With your small body, you won't be able to withstand the backlash of a half-step heaven monarch corpse if you don't advance to a saint immortal. All right, that's true. After some thought, the Dark Emperor felt that Ningyu's words made sense. Unless he became a saint immortal, he wouldn't be able to withstand the backlash of a half-step heaven monarch corpse with his strength and toughness. Hee, you're still a peak peerless immortal if you don't cultivate properly. The Red Devil chuckled and changed the topic. I'm different. I've already become a saint immortal. However, Ningyu was treating everyone the same. He kicked Hong Mo's butt and said, Stop talking nonsense here. Hurry up and devour He Wuming. I'll give a half-step heaven monarch realm, heavenly devil corpse to whoever advances to the saint immortal intermediate stage first. That's not fair. The Dark Emperor yelled, I'm a peak peerless immortal while the Red Devil is an early stage saint immortal. He'll definitely reach mid-stage saint immortal first. You're the only one with so many problems. Ningyu glared at the Dark Emperor before taking out 2 heavenly pills and tossing them to the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil. I'll give each of you a heavenly pill. Get your asses into the Red Devil's sword and cultivate. That's more like it. The Dark Emperor leaped into the Red Devil's sword after receiving the heavenly pill. As for the Red Devil, he swallowed the heavenly pill on the spot. Rumble. In an instant, a terrifying aura was emitted from the body of the Red Devil. Holy shit! Ningyu's mouth gaped open in disbelief when he sensed the change in the Red Devil's aura. He'd only said it casually. He didn't expect the Red Devil to really reach mid-stage Saint Immortal. Holy shit! The Dark Emperor immediately leaped out of the Red Devil's sword and cried out when he sensed the Red Devil's advancement. Phew! The Red Devil let out a long breath and said, I've reached mid-stage Saint Immortal. You should be able to give me a half-step Heaven Monarch corpse now, right? All right, here you go. Ningyu wasn't one to go back on his word. He walked up to the altar, took out the Heavenly Demon Tower, and brought out the 2 half-step Heaven Monarch corpses. Devour the corpses in the Heavenly Demon Tower. Ningyu looked at the Red Devil and reminded, Remember, don't force it. Understood. The Red Devil leapt up and directly entered the demonic tower. The Dark Emperor was envious when he saw the Red Devil entering the Heavenly Demon Tower. He, Ningyu, and the Red Devil had always been on par when they were in the lower planes. However, the Red Devil and Ningyu's strength skyrocketed after they reached the higher planes, leaving him in the dust. Stop complaining. I'll help you refine the heavenly pill. Ningyu kicked the Dark Emperor and said, You're currently a peak, peerless immortal. It's not suitable for you to break through to the Saint Immortal realm for now. Try to break through to the half-step Saint Immortal realm first. No problem. The Dark Emperor immediately pulled himself together. Ningyu would never forget him when he had something good. He understood Ningyu's good intentions. Given his peak, peerless immortal cultivation, It was true that he couldn't devour the corpse of a half-step heaven monarch. The Dark Emperor was very confident. Chapter 2270. Kacha! The Dark Emperor was not an indecisive dog. He sat cross-legged on the spot and swallowed the heaven pill. A crisp sound rang out. The heaven pill was chewed to pieces by the Dark Emperor. Chi-chi! The terrifying devouring power burst out from the Dark Emperor's body. Even if the Dark Emperor's devouring power was weak, the speed of refining the heaven pill was not too slow. At this speed, it was estimated that it would not take long for the Dark Emperor to completely refine the heaven pill. Swish! At the same time, Yang Ming had already contacted Hong Yu and told Hong Yu what happened inside. What? Hearing Yang Ming's story, Hong Yu's eyes widened, and her face was full of disbelief. Ningyu was really killed. Hong Yu was extremely shocked. She was very clear about Ningyu's strength. Even Yang Ming could escape. How could Ningyu not escape? Yes, at that time, he Wu Ming used the Heaven Lord Talisman. Yang Ming nodded and sighed. Originally, Ningyu could escape, but in order to save me, he had to die with He Wu Ming. As he said, Yang Ming also wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes. It's a pity. Du Shiyong looked solemn. He respected Ningyu very much. If it weren't for Ningyu, he might have become a victim. Now hearing Ningyu's tragic death, deep in his heart, he sighed a little. Let's go! I promised Ningyu that I must continue to fight with you. Yang Ming patted Du Shiyong's shoulder and said, As long as I'm here, I will never let anyone hurt you. That's the only way. Du Shiyong and Hong Yu looked at each other and saw a little helplessness in each other's eyes. Since they came to Xia Yin Valley, they definitely wanted to gain something. If they went back like this, no one would be willing. 2 more cannon fodder. No one noticed. Yang Ming's mouth raised slightly, and a sinister look appeared between his eyebrows. Whether it was Hong Yu or Du Shiyong, their strength was very strong. The danger in the depths of Cloud Valley was definitely great. At that time, with Du Shiyong and Hong Yu as his vanguard, he could save a lot of unnecessary trouble. Go! With both feet on the ground, Yang Ming led the many powerhouses of the Yang family into the depths of the Cloud Valley. Whoosh! Whoosh! Behind Yang Ming, Du Shiyong and Hong Yu followed closely. Boom! After moving at full speed for about 15 minutes, suddenly a huge stone pillar emerged from the ground and blocked Yang Ming's way. Seeing the huge stone pillar in front of him, Yang Ming raised his eyebrows. He faintly felt that something was wrong. Silence. It was unusually quiet. However, this kind of silence was unusual. There seemed to be some killing intent in the air. Stay alert, Yang Ming said in a deep voice. Du Shiyong, go to the front and move the stone pillar away. Why me? Du Shiyong's face changed, and he said coldly, You Yang family, whoosh! Before Du Shiyong could finish his words, Yang Ming's aura was suddenly released. The aura was abnormally vigorous, and it pressed down on Du Shiyong at a terrifying speed. Ka. Being oppressed by Yang Ming's aura, Du Shiyong knelt on the ground with an unusually angry expression. The crisp sound coming from his knees made Du Shiyong furious to the extreme. However, although he was furious, Du Shiyong didn't dare to really attack. After all, with his strength, even if he used all his trump cards, it was absolutely impossible for him to be Yang Ming's opponent. Are you going or not? Yang Ming raised a corner of his mouth and said gloomily, I will give you one last chance. If you miss this opportunity, there will be no. I'll go. Before Yang Ming finished his words, Du Shiyong said coldly, I will go and move the stone pillar away. That's right. Yang Ming shrugged. Dong. Du Shiyong moved his feet and walked toward the stone pillar step by step. Du Shiyong's speed was very slow. At this speed, It would take at least a minute to reach the stone pillar. However, Yang Ming didn't care at all. For him, as long as Du Shiyong was willing to approach the stone pillar, it was fine. In this way, he could explore the danger for him first. Gotcha! However, as soon as Du Shiyong came to the stone pillar cracked. Swoosh! A cold gleam suddenly shot out from the stone pillar and rushed toward Du Shiyong. Not good. The sudden change made Du Shiyong's expression change drastically. Without much time to think, he immediately chose to retreat. Gotcha! However, Du Shiyong's retreat speed was half a beat slower. In just an instant, Du Shiyong's right arm was chopped off by the cold gleam. Everyone retreat! Yang Ming shouted hurriedly when he saw Du Shiyong's arm being chopped off. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha! However, even Du Shiyong couldn't escape the attack of the cold gleam, let alone those sage immortal level martial artists of the Yang family. A series of cracking sounds could be heard. Everyone from the Yang family was killed very quickly. Trash! Hurry up and block the cold gleam for me. Seeing the tragic death of the Yang family, Yang Ming was so angry that his nose was crooked. He left Du Shiyong behind to block the disaster for the Yang family. But now, only Du Shiyong's arm was chopped off. But everyone from the Yang family died tragically. Such a change was clearly out of Yang Ming's expectations, and it made him very unhappy. Humph! Du Shiyong snorted and quickly retreated. How powerful was the power of the cold gleam! Du Shiyong was not a fool. Previously, he was forced to approach the stone pillar. But now the power of the cold gleam was so strong that even Yang Ming couldn't bear it. In this case, he would never risk his life to block the cold gleam. If you don't go, you will die. Yang Ming's face was cold to the extreme. Instead of blocking the cold gleam, he turned and rushed to Du Shiyong. Swish! The true energy in his body gathered on his fist, and he punched back at Du Shiyong. Boom! At the critical moment, Hong Yu made a move. He raised his right hand and punched Yang Ming's fist. When the two collided, Hong Yu and Yang Ming took a few steps back at the same time. Gotcha! Gotcha! At this moment, in the broken stone pillar, two more cold gleams came out. It's over. Feeling the terrifying aura emanating from the two cold gleams, Yang Ming and Hong Yu were dumbfounded at the same time. The power of the cold gleam was powerful to the extreme. Yang Ming was not confident that he could block the cold gleam. Hong Yu was not confident that he could block the cold gleam. As for Du Shiyong, he was even less confident. Boom! The first martial artist who was hit by the cold gleam was Du Shiyong. Originally, Du Shiyong's right arm was chopped off. Now, even his left arm was chopped off. Next, Yang Ming and Hong Yu were both hit by the cold gleam. Their bodies flew a few feet away and fell heavily to the ground. Poochie! Poochie! Red blood spurted from their mouths. Yang Ming and Hong Yu's faces became abnormally pale. Buzz, buzz, buzz! Then, three figures gradually appeared from the void. General South, General North, General West. Seeing three slightly familiar figures, Hong Yu's face was completely gloomy. Chapter 2271. Among the four generals, the Eastern general was the weakest. Apart from General Dong, the other three generals were all ranked in the top 3,000 of the Heavenly Monarch substitute list. Not to mention three generals. Even if only one general came, Hong Yu and the others would have a hard time dealing with them. Humph! You can't even block a few flies. General Nin glanced at Hong Yu and the others and snorted. General Dong is indeed a good-for-nothing. I think calling him trash is already praising him. General, she shrugged and said, General Dong didn't become a general because of his strength, but because of his connections. Hee hee, to be honest, I really want to see General Dong's face. General Bei chuckled. All right, West General, North General. Hurry up and get rid of these 3 pieces of trash. Heaven Lord Kuba is still waiting for us. General Nan waved his hand and said, whoosh, whoosh. As soon as General South's voice fell, General West and General North both attacked. Among them, the West General rushed to the Hongyu, and the North General rushed to Yongming. As for General Nan, he stood still and did not move. In General Nan's opinion, he was not needed to deal with Hongyu and Yongming. Let's fight. Seeing General Bei charging at him, Yongming gritted his teeth and took out a talisman on the spot. Heavenly Monarch Talisman. Without a doubt, Yongming also had the Heaven Monarch's talisman. Explode! With a low roar, the Heavenly Monarch Talisman exploded. Ha ha ha! Seeing General Bei get blasted by the Heaven Lord Talisman, Yongming couldn't help but laugh wildly. However, before Yongming was happy for long, his face turned gloomy again, because he realized that after the aftermath of the explosion dissipated, General Bei was still standing in the same place, completely unharmed. You have completely infuriated me. General Bei twisted his neck and said coldly, originally, I only planned to refine you into a puppet. But now, I'm going to cut you into pieces and burn your essence, spirit, with blazing flames. I'll make you wish you were dead. Shoo! As he spoke, General Bei stomped on the ground and quickly attacked. He could tell. General Bei was really angry. Fortunately, he had a life-saving trump card. Otherwise, it would be hard for him to withstand the aftermath of the Heaven Monarch Talisman's explosion. Bang! Bang! Here, General Bei was still entangled with Yongming. Over there, General, she had already defeated his opponent. Hongyu and Du Shiyong both fell to the ground, and their breaths became extremely weak. Let's kill them and save ourselves some trouble. General Nan frowned slightly and waved his hand. The Kuba Heavenly Residence has reached the most critical moment. I don't want to be disturbed. No problem. The first to respond to General Nan was General Bei. His right hand clenched into a fist, and his fist brought along a violent energy fluctuation. It landed precisely on Yang Ming's heart. Pucci! With his heart pierced, Yang Ming's body flew backward. Unable to withstand a single blow, General Bei twitched his mouth and said, When I get out, I'm going to challenge the Heaven Lord's substitute list and see what my ranking is. Hee hee, you are probably ranked at the 3,000th place on the Lord of Heaven's substitute list. But I am ranked at the 2,000th place. General, she smiled faintly. His hands turned into a series of afterimages and bombarded Du Shiyong and Hongyu. Being hit by the fist shadow, Du Shiyong and Hongyu retreated at the same time. Whoosh! Seeing that they were about to hit the stone wall, the void suddenly broke, and 2 figures emerged from the void. Ningyu, Hong Mo. Ningyu caught Hongyu, and Hong Mo caught Du Shiyong. And the sudden change made General Nan frown, and his expression changed from playful to dignified. General Nan sensed an extremely terrifying aura from the thin martial artist. Not only the thin martial artist, but even the martial artist in red next to him exuded a terrifying aura. You! Being hugged by Ningyu, Hongyu's eyes widened, and her face was full of disbelief. She would never have thought that Ningyu was not dead. What about me? Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, This is for you. Go to the back and rest first. A heaven pill appeared in Ningyu's hand. Although she was puzzled, Hongyu knew that it was dangerous now, so she didn't ask. She took the heaven pill and retreated to the back. Gulp! Seeing the heaven pill in Hongyu's hand, Du Shiyong swallowed a mouthful of saliva. As an itinerant cultivator, it was not easy for Du Shiyong to cultivate to the peak of the Saint Immortal Realm and squeeze into the top 10,000 of the Heavenly Lord substitute roll. From head to toe, There was almost nothing precious on him. If it was anyone else, they would definitely not believe it. After all, no one would have imagined that a martial artist who had reached the peak of the Saint Immortal realm was actually a pauper. Here, Ning Yu casually threw a heaven pill to Du Shiyong and said indifferently, "Since you've already followed me, I'll definitely not treat you badly." "Thank you." Du Shiyong thanked him hurriedly. "How dare you?" General Nan's expression was extremely cold as he said coldly, "How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? You really don't know what's good for you." "You said that I don't know what's good for me?" Ning Yu turned to look at General Nan and said calmly, "Peak of the Saint Immortal realm, still some distance away from a half-step heavenly lord." If it was an hour ago, Ning Yu might be afraid of General Nan. However, at this moment, Ning Yu was fearless. The reason was because he had improved further, and his strength had improved by leaps and bounds. There were 3 corpses in the altar. After the Red Fiend devoured one, his cultivation soared from the mid-stage Saint Immortal realm to the peak of the Saint Immortal realm. With the help of the Red Fiend sword, his strength could even squeeze into the top 5,000 of the Heavenly Lord substitute role. As for the Dark Emperor, his cultivation advanced to the half-step Saint Immortal realm after devouring the Heaven Pill. Of course, among the 3 of them, the one who had the most terrifying improvement in strength was Ning Yu. The Dark Emperor devoured the Heaven Pill, the Red Fiend devoured the corpse of a half-step Heavenly Lord, and Ning Yu devoured the corpse of a Heavenly Lord. Although his cultivation was still at the half-step Saint Immortal realm, Ning Yu's strength was enough to squeeze into the top 100 of the Heavenly Lord substitute role. What did it mean to be in the top 100? It could be said that unless he encountered a true half-step Heavenly Lord, Ning Yu's strength was enough to sweep through everything. Arrogant. Without waiting for General Nan's response, General Bei stomped on the ground and rushed towards Ning Yu. Facing General Bei, who was rushing over, Ning Yu casually raised his right hand. Bang! In an instant, Ning Yu's fist collided with General Nan's. Ah! After the 2 fists collided, a pig-like scream was heard. What? General Shi's eyes widened in shock when he saw the martial artist who screamed. If someone told General Shi that General Bei would lose a few minutes ago, he would probably fly into a rage. However, what happened now caused General Shi to turn pale with fright. Chapter 2272. You're finished. No one in this world can save you. General, she clenched his fists and said angrily, "Swoosh!" Without any hesitation, General, she dashed towards Ning Yu at a terrifying speed. Swoosh! Swoosh! General, she was so fast that he arrived in front of Ning Yu in the blink of an eye. Go to hell! With a low shout, the energy in General Shi's body gathered in his fist, and he punched Ning Yu's head with a backhand. General Shi was much more powerful than General Bei. General Bei was ranked around 3,000 on the Heavenly Lord substitute role. However, General Shi was ranked in the top 2,000. Child's play. Ning Yu's expression was as calm as an ancient well in the face of the Western general who was rushing over. He did not show any signs of panic. Ning Yu would not be afraid even if General Nan attacked him personally, let alone General Shi. Bang! Ning Yu threw a punch at General Shi when he saw that he was in front of him. The punch did not seem very powerful. However, General Shi was sent flying and landed heavily on the ground. Uft! General Shi spat out a mouthful of blood, and his aura dropped from the peak Saint Immortal to the early stage Saint Immortal. Moreover, it continued to drop. You! What did you do to me? General Shi pointed at Ning Yu and asked in fear when he felt the energy in his body dropping rapidly. Nothing much. I just left something in your body. Ning Yu shrugged and said calmly, General, she was a peerless heavenly demon, ranked in the top 2,000 on the Heavenly Lord substitute role. The benefits of devouring him would be great. Therefore, when he was exchanging blows with General Shi, Ningyu secretly injected a powerful devouring force into General Shi's body. Ningyu could devour General Shi easily with the devouring force. "I'm going to turn you into ashes." General Shi shouted angrily. "What are you shouting for?" Ningyu rolled his eyes and said disdainfully, "You want to grind my bones and scatter my ashes with your meager strength?" "I admit that you are very strong." At this moment, General Nan took a step forward and said in a deep voice, "But your strength is not qualified to be arrogant for the time being. Whether I have the qualifications to be arrogant or not, won't you know once you come and try?" Ningyu raised his eyebrows and said, "Humph, I'll let you show off for now. I'll deal with you later." General Nan let out a cold snort and immediately turned to the depths of the Cloud Valley. Whoosh! Whoosh! Seeing General Nan leave, General Bei and General Shi's expressions changed, and they hurriedly followed. However, how could Ningyu allow them to leave? With a flash, Ningyu immediately tore the void and appeared in front of General Nan in the blink of an eye. Clenching his right hand into a fist, he punched with a violent Zhen Qi gale, precisely hitting General Nan's chest. Afterimage? It was only for a moment. Ningyu realized that something was wrong. General Nan's original body had long disappeared. What was left behind was only an afterimage. "We'll meet again." An extremely cold voice sounded in Ningyu's ears. Interesting. Ningyu stabilized his body and floated in the air. He had to say it. General Nan's actions, indeed, shocked Ningyu. After thinking about it, Ningyu turned around and said, "Leave General Shi and General Bei for me to devour." Just now, when Ningyu went to kill General Nan, the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil made a move respectively and killed General Shi and General Bei. Under normal circumstances, the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil would definitely not be a match for the two generals. However, the current General Shi and General Bei had suffered heavy injuries and were already in a dying state. Against this kind of sky demon, not to mention the Dark Emperor, even a random Saint Immortal powerhouse could kill them. All right. The Dark Emperor and the Red Devil spread their hands helplessly. Since Ningyu wanted it, they naturally couldn't refuse. "Don't look so sad. Take these 2 heaven pills and swallow them." Ningyu casually threw 2 heaven pills to the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil and said, "Go to the other side to swallow. Don't disturb me." "Hee hee, I definitely won't disturb you." The Dark Emperor and the Red Devil chuckled. Then each took a heaven pill and went to the other side to cultivate in seclusion. However, the place where the 2 of them went into seclusion happened to be the place where Yang Ming died tragically. Chi-Chi. Ningyu looked at the corpses of General Shi and General Bei and suddenly extended his right hand and placed it on their foreheads. A terrifying devouring power surged out and crazily devoured the energy in the 2 generals' bodies. Originally, Ningyu didn't plan to personally devour General Shi and General Bei. His plan was to give the 2 generals to the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil. However, when he realized that General Nan was extremely powerful, he immediately changed his mind. Although he could be ranked in the top 100 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list, it was far from enough. As expected, the next time he met General Nan, his cultivation would definitely increase to the half-step Heavenly Lord realm. How powerful was a half-step Heavenly Lord? Even if Ningyu could be ranked in the top 100 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list, he didn't have the confidence to defeat General Nan, who had advanced to the half-step Heavenly Lord realm. Therefore, Ningyu's idea was to improve his strength as soon as possible. Tick, tick. Time passed minute by minute. In the blink of an eye, 10 minutes had passed. Boom! A terrifying aura burst out from Ningyu's body and soared into the sky. Gulp! Feeling the aura emanating from Ningyu, the Dark Emperor, the Red Devil, Hongyu, and Du Shiyong next to him all opened their mouths slightly. their faces full of disbelief. Especially Hongyu. The shock on her face had reached its peak. When she met Ningyu for the first time, Hongyu thought that Ningyu could be ranked in the top 100 of all the geniuses in the Kungsu territory. But as time went by, she felt that she was wrong, very wrong. Until now, she was still not very sure how strong Ningyu was. Ningyu's strength should be ranked in the top 1,000 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list, right? Du Shiyong swallowed a mouthful of saliva and wondered. Top 100? Humph! You may have misunderstood Ningyu's strength. Hongyu snorted and said, just now Ningyu easily defeated General Shi and General Bei, which means that his strength has reached the top 1,500 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list. If I guessed correctly, Ningyu's strength should be ranked in the top 800 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list. Puff! Hearing the first half of Hongyu's words, Ningyu thought that she was praising him. But when he heard the second half, he couldn't help but laugh. Top 800 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list? When he first met General Nan and the others, his strength had reached the top 100. Now that he had devoured General Shi and General Bei, his strength had improved a lot. If he went to challenge the Heavenly Lord substitute list now, he might be able to enter the top 90. One should not underestimate the improvement of these 10 ranks. The strength of the peerless geniuses in the top 100 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list was worlds apart. What are you laughing at? Hongyu heard Ningyu's laughter. Chapter 2273. Yes, you're right. My strength should be able to rank in the top 800 of the Lord of Heaven substitute list. Ningyu nodded and said seriously, you're not very strong, so you'll have to listen to my instructions in the following actions. Who wants to listen to you? Hongyu rolled her eyes and then walked toward the depths of Xiayun Valley. Boom! However, just as Hongyu passed by Yang Ming's body, something happened. Yang Ming, who was supposed to be dead, suddenly stood up and punched at Hongyu with a violent, immortal chi. Yang Ming's punch contained the strength of his absolute life. It could be said that even the peerless heavenly demons in the top 3,000 of the Lord of Heaven substitute list might not be able to block it. Hongyu wasn't even in the top 5,000 of the Lord of Heaven substitute list. In this case, unless she used her last trump card, she would only be greeted with death. Swish! At the critical moment, a shadow suddenly appeared. Crack! His right hand clenched into a fist and punched out. It hit Yang Ming's fist without any deviation. The two collided. A crisp sound was heard. Then, Yang Ming's body flew straight back and fell heavily to the ground. You! Yang Ming raised his head with difficulty and looked at Ningyu in disbelief. He couldn't imagine it in any way. Such a perfect sneak attack was discovered by Ningyu in advance, and he responded to it. What about you? Ningyu said indifferently, because of your stupidity, I'll remember the Yang family of Xylan Weave. Puff! As Ningyu's voice fell, the crowd was shocked. Yang Ming's head tilted, and he died on the spot. Swish! Swish! As soon as Yang Ming died, Hongyu and the Dark Emperor rushed out, for fear that Ningyu would fight with them. I'm speechless. Ningyu shrugged, expressing his helplessness. His strength could already be ranked in the top 80 of the Lord of Heaven substitute list. Even if he devoured Yang Ming, his strength wouldn't improve much. Instead of this, it was better to give Yang Ming to the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil. Well, Ningyu, I want to ask about the corpse of the half-step Lord of Heaven in the altar. You, at this moment. Hongyu came to Ningyu and said hesitantly, Can you give him to me? Ningyu raised his eyebrows and looked at Hongyu with interest. Give me a reason. I really need a sky-fiend corpse. Hongyu's eyes flickered, and she finally said, If I can't bring back a powerful heavenly demon's corpse, then my parents may encounter an accident. Don't worry, I won't let you suffer. Seeing that Ning Yu did not answer her, Hong Yu hurriedly said, Heaven pill. I also have a heaven pill. During the conversation, Hong Yu reached deep into her arms and took out a blue jade bottle. Hiss! As soon as Hong Yu took out the blue jade bottle, Ning Yu gasped. Obviously, inside the blue jade bottle there was a heaven pill. However, it was not a lower heaven pill, but a genuine heaven pill. How could Ning Yu not be shocked? The lower heaven pill could make the geniuses in the top 5,000 of the Lord of Heaven substitute list have continuous energy. And the heaven pill had the same effect on the martial artists in the top 100 of the Lord of Heaven substitute list. After killing He Wu-ming, Ning Yu got a lot of lower heaven pills from him. Originally, Ning Yu thought that these lower heaven pills were enough for him to use for a while. Who would have thought that his strength improved too fast, causing the lower heaven pill to lose its effect on him? You really know how to do business. Ning Yu said, A half-step Lord of Heaven level heavenly demon's corpse is worth 10 heaven pills, and there is only 1 heaven pill in your blue jade bottle. Exchanging a heaven pill for a half-step Lord of Heaven level heavenly demon's corpse? Unless Ning Yu was a fool, he would never agree. I know this is far from enough. Hong Yu bit her lip and said, In addition to a heaven pill, I can promise you 3 requests. Any request? Ning Yu raised his eyebrows, looked at Hong Yu, and said with an evil smile, What if it's that kind of request? You. Hong Yu's face turned crimson. She wanted to find a hole to hide in, but thinking of her parents' experience, she had to bite the bullet and said, Any request, even if it's that kind of request, it's okay. Well, since you have said this, it's not right if I don't give you the body of the half-step Lord of Heaven. Ning Yu shrugged and then threw the body of the half-step Lord of Heaven to Hong Yu. Of course, when the body flew to Hong Yu, Ning Yu's voice sounded. The first of the 3 requests, from now until 3 months later, you have to listen to my orders unconditionally. You have to do what I tell you to do. The second request, when you see me in the future, you have to smile. Don't put on a bitter face. As for the third request, speaking of this, Ning Yu paused a little and looked at Hong Yu with interest. Being stared at by Ning Yu, Hong Yu's cheeks turned red again. The third request is very simple, just 3 more requests. Ning Yu said lightly, Puchi. Hearing Ning Yu's request, the Dark Emperor and Hong Mo next to him laughed on the spot. This is too shameless, isn't it? Your first request has already crossed the line. Now you made a third unreasonable request. How could Hong Yu live? Could it be that want to control Hong Yu for the rest of her life? Not only the Dark Emperor and Hong Mo thought so, but even Hong Yu herself also thought so. Her face turned from crimson to pale. After all, anyone who heard such an unreasonable request from Ning Yu would feel angry. I'm just kidding. Ning Yu touched his nose and said, I only have 1 request. That is to give me the bead on you. Bead? Hong Yu was stunned at first. Then her face changed greatly. She did have a bead on her. However, that bead was a life-saving item given to her by her uncle. If she gave it to Ning Yu, wouldn't that mean that she would lose something that could save her life? After struggling for a while, Hong Yu said, I can give you the bead, but you have to promise not to destroy it. No problem. Ning Yu nodded in agreement. Swish. Hearing Ning Yu's promise, Hong Yu flicked her wrist and threw out a blood-red bead. Crack! However, just as the bead flew in front of Ning Yu clenched his right hand into a fist and punched it into pieces. You! Hong Yu's mouth was wide open, her face full of disbelief. Crack, crack, crack. After the surprise, she clenched her fists tightly, making a cracking sound. At this moment, she was very angry, extremely angry. One must know that the red bead was given to her by her uncle. She did not regard it as a life-saving magic treasure, but as a kind of sustenance. Now that it was destroyed by Ningyu, how could she not be angry? Swoosh! However, Chapter 2274. Not good. The sudden change made Hong Yu's face change. She was not weak, so she could naturally find the terrible energy contained in the cold light. In her current state, if she was hit by the cold light, she would be disabled even if she did not die. Ningyu! Hong Yu retreated while looking at Ningyu incredulously and exclaimed, "What the hell is going on?" Hong Yu couldn't understand. Why was it that after the red bead her uncle had given her shattered, a blood-colored cold light would shoot out and attack her? She knew, not only her, but also Ningyu, the Dark Emperor Hong Emo, and Du Shiyong. If she did not absolutely trust Ningyu, she would probably think that the blood-colored cold light was done by Ningyu. "Where are you going?" Ningyu did not answer Hong Yu's words. He growled, and immediately the energy in his body wrapped around his fist, and he punched back. Boom! In a split second, the fist light and the blood-colored cold light collided. Suddenly, blood splashed everywhere. Swoosh! However, at the moment when the blood-colored cold light dissipated, a Heavenly Lord's talisman suddenly appeared. Pa! Ningyu grabbed the Heavenly Lord's talisman firmly in his hand before it exploded. Whew! After controlling the Heavenly Lord's talisman, Ningyu took a long breath and showed a look of relief. Fortunately, until now, Ningyu still had some fear. Fortunately, the first target of the Heavenly Lord's talisman was Hong Yu, not him. Otherwise, even if he tried his best, he might not be able to subdue the Heavenly Lord's talisman. There was no other reason. This Heavenly Lord's talisman was completely different from the one taken out by Yang Ming and Crane Wuming. Yang Ming and Crane Wuming's Heavenly Lord's talisman might be able to fight against the top 1,000 powerhouses on the Heavenly Lord substitute list. However, the power of this Heavenly Lord's talisman was enough to kill the peerless evildoer ranked in the top 50 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list. Hong Yu was stunned, and her eyes were dull. She had figured it out. The red bead was a life-saving magic treasure given to her by her uncle. Obviously, his life-saving magic treasure had been tampered with. As for whether he was her uncle or not, that remained to be seen. However, there was one thing that was certain. There was a mole in the Hong family of the brilliant Void Weave. I must get to the bottom of this. Hong Yu clenched his fists, and his face was extremely cold. As the saying went, when a woman was angry, it was exceptionally terrifying. Hong Yu's current appearance was extremely terrifying. Don't even think about finding out. Even if your strength doubled, it would still be useless. Ningyu accepted the Heaven Monarch talisman as a matter of course and said indifferently, "Your opponent is far more terrifying than you can imagine." Hong Yu was stunned at first, then asked, "How terrible is it?" "It's scarier than the corpse I gave you," Ningyu said. Hiss! Hearing this, Hong Yu gasped directly. Stronger than a half-step Heaven Monarch, Realm, Heavenly Demon? Didn't that mean that her opponent was a Lord of Heaven? Hundreds of thousands of years ago, there was indeed a Lord of Heaven in the Hong family. However, since the end of the human demon war tens of thousands of years ago, the Lord of Heaven of the Hong family had also disappeared. Could it be that the Lord of Heaven of the Hong family was still alive? What are you thinking about? Hurry up and get ready to go deeper into the Xia Yun Valley with me. Ningyu patted Hong Yu on the shoulder and said, "This place is about to collapse. If we don't go now, the consequences will be unimaginable." Collapse? Hong Yu was puzzled. If I'm not mistaken, in the deepest part of the Xia Yun Valley, Lord of Heaven Kuba has already started to take action. Ningyu explained, once Lord of Heaven Kuba takes away all the heavenly demon corpses in the Xia Yun Valley, the entire Xia Yun Valley will completely collapse. Swish! Hong Yu's expression changed slightly. She hurriedly took out a crystal ball from her bosom and crushed it. Crack! After the crystal ball was broken, Hong Yu said in a deep voice, "I have informed the bald martial artist outside the Xiaoyun Valley. As soon as we leave, he will come to our rescue." "No problem." Ningyu shrugged and immediately jumped up. He was the first to rush into the depths of the Xiaoyun Valley. Although the bald martial artist's strength was not too strong, Ningyu understood the principle of ants biting an elephant to death. After many powerful heavenly demons entered the Xiaoyun Valley, those heavenly demons in the evil spirit battlefield would definitely seek refuge with the bald martial artist. At that time, thousands of heavenly demons would attack together. Even the peerless genius, ranked in the top 50 of the Lord of Heaven's substitute list, would have to think twice. "I'm going to wait for you. Wait for me." Seeing Ningyu leave, the Dark Emperor couldn't help but swear. He and Hong Yu swallowed Yangming quickly. Then they sped up and left behind Ningyu. "No matter who you are, in short, I must find you." Hong Yu's expression was cold. She stomped her feet, and her figure flashed as she chased after them. Swish! With Ning Yu taking the lead, the Dark Emperor, Hong Yu, Du Shiyong, and Hong Yu following behind, they advanced rapidly. After walking for about 10 minutes, a small river suddenly appeared in front of them. Illusion! Ning Yu stared at the river, his brows furrowed. "This river is real. It's not an illusion." The Dark Emperor straightened his head and looked at the river. He said doubtfully, "Ningyu, is your head rusty? You can even misjudge this? Get lost." Ning Yu kicked the Dark Emperor's butt, causing him to fall to the ground. Plop! The Dark Emperor swam like a dog paddle in the small river, having a great time. "Why don't you let me try?" Hong Yu saw through it more clearly. He stared at the forest on the other side of the river and said, "I'm a sword spirit. This level of illusion shouldn't be difficult for me." Ning Yu shook his head slowly and said, "You still underestimated this illusion." "Underestimated?" Hong Yu was slightly startled and said in confusion, "That forest should be an illusion. What do you mean by saying that I underestimated it?" "Look again." Ning Yu waved his right hand gently in front of Hong Yu and pointed at the forest once more. Hong Yu's gaze shifted to the forest. This glance caused Hong Yu's expression to change drastically. The original forest had long disappeared without a trace. In exchange, it was a boundless desert. "It is indeed extraordinary." Hong Yu's expression turned extremely solemn. He admitted that he had indeed underestimated the illusion. If not for Ning Yu's reminder, he would have definitely fallen into the illusion. "What do we do now?" Hong Yu hesitated. "You guys enter the Red Demon Sword. I'll go alone." Ning Yu said, "No, I can't let you take the risk." Hong Yu said in a deep voice, "Your strength is at the forefront. If even you fall into it, then all of us will die. Then what do you think we should do?" Ning Yu looked at Hong Yu and said calmly, "For now, it was best for him to explore the illusory realm. As for Hong Yu, Dark Emperor, Du Shiyong, and the others, they were all useless. To be honest, asking them to explore the illusion was no different from sending them to their deaths." Hong Yu was speechless. She really didn't have a good idea. "Isn't that enough? You guys enter the storage ring first." Ning Yu waved his hand and said indifferently, "When I break through the illusion, I will naturally let you guys out." Chapter 2275. Swoosh! The first person to enter the Red Devil Sword was the Dark Emperor. He leaped out of the small river and entered the Red Demon Sword. Swoosh! Swoosh! After that, the Red Devil and Du Shiyong entered the Red Devil Sword. "Be careful!" The last person to enter the Red Devil Sword was Hong Yu. She reminded Ning Yu before stepping onto the ground and entering the Red Demon Sword. After keeping the Red Devil Sword, Ningyu took a deep breath and walked towards the river. Ningyu seemed to be walking very slowly, but he was actually very fast. He took only 1 second to cross the river. Swoosh! As soon as Ningyu crossed the river, there was a sudden change. The illusion of a desert changed again, turning into a huge mountain. Open! Ningyu clenched his right hand into a fist and punched out with a violent Yuan Qi gale. Crack! 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 Under Ningyu's attack, the mountain cracked open, and a huge crack appeared in the middle. General Nan, go and see what's going on. On the other side of the mountain, an old man in a gray robe frowned and waved his hand. Why is the illusion I set up loosening? Yes, General Nan responded, and immediately flew toward the mountain. If anyone was there, they would have noticed that there were many graves opposite the old man in a gray robe. There was a talisman on each grave, Heavenly Lord Talisman. It was obvious that the talismans on the graves were terrifying Heavenly Lord Talismans. These useless things are all dead, but they still left me a problem. The old man in a gray robe was none other than Heavenly Lord Kuba. He stared at the graves with a cold expression and said fiercely, I originally wanted to leave your corpses intact and only devour the energy in the corpses. It seems like there's no need for that now. As soon as Heavenly Lord Kuba finished speaking, he dashed toward the tomb closest to him. Smack! He stretched out his right hand and grabbed the Heavenly Lord Talisman. Such a weak Heavenly Lord Talisman. It seems like you weren't much when you were alive. Heavenly Lord Kuba curled his lips. He lifted his right leg and stomped hard on the grave. Kacha! A clear and crisp sound rang out. The Skythian's corpse in the tomb was crushed to pieces. I didn't guess it wrong. A half-step Lord of Heaven trash. The devouring power in Heavenly Lord Kuba's body was unleashed. In an instant, it devoured all the heavenly fiend corpses in the tomb. Whoosh! After devouring a heavenly demon's corpse, Heavenly Lord Kuba did not stop. He continued to devour the second heavenly demon's corpse. Rumble. Meanwhile, on the other side, General Nan had crossed the mountain and faced Ningyu. There's a path to heaven, but you don't want to take it. There's no door to hell, but you barge in. General Nan stared coldly at Ningyu and said fiercely, I'll give you a chance to live. Surrender, kneel down, and kowtow to me, Xiao. Without waiting for General Nan to finish the word kowtow, Ningyu leaped up and punched at General Nan. If you want to fight, then fight. Why talk so much nonsense? Ningyu had already sensed the terrifying energy fluctuations on the other side of the mountain. Therefore, he had to get rid of General Nan as soon as possible. Of course, the solution Ningyu had in mind was not to kill General Nan, but to control him. No matter how arrogant Ningyu was, he was not so arrogant that he could compete with a heavenly lord. For him, if he wanted to get close to Heavenly Lord Kuba, he had to control General Nan. He had to make use of General Nan to get close to Heavenly Lord Kuba, then attack unexpectedly and severely injure Heavenly Lord Kuba. You're courting death. Looking at Ningyu, who was constantly approaching him, General Nan's face was gloomy and his fist met Ningyu's. Bang! The two collided. Ningyu didn't move from his spot, but General Nan retreated several feet before he could stabilize himself. This move, General Nan was defeated, and it was a complete defeat. How could you become so strong? General Nan's face was full of disbelief. One had to know. With the help of Heavenly Lord Kuba, his cultivation had advanced to the half-step Heavenly Lord realm. At this time, if he went to challenge the Heavenly Lord substitute list, he could at least be ranked 150th. Originally, he thought that this ranking was enough to kill Ningyu. However, after fighting with Ningyu, he knew that he was wrong, very wrong. Not only had his strength increased, but Ningyu's strength had also increased. Are you the only one allowed to become stronger, and I am not allowed to become stronger? Ning Yu rolled his eyes and said, I am too lazy to talk nonsense with you. Now I will give you a choice, surrender to me, or I will let you die a horrible death. You want me to surrender to you? Ha ha ha. General Nan raised his head and laughed wildly. His laughter was very arrogant. Swoosh! However, while General Nan was laughing wildly, Ning Yu flicked his finger and a lump entered General Nan's throat into his abdomen. Cough! General Nan's face changed drastically, and he hurriedly dug his throat with his hand. At the same time, he wanted to force the lump out of his body. Helpless, no matter how hard General Nan tried, it didn't have the slightest effect. What the hell did you do to me? General Nan was furious and roared, Hurry up and give me the antidote. Otherwise, I will tell Heavenly Lord Kuba and let him turn your bones into ashes. Save some strength. I will give you a chance to live now. Open your mind and let me control you. General Nan's face was gloomy. He was not sure what the lump was. For now, I will beat you at your own game. After pondering for a moment, General Nan gritted his teeth and said, I can open my mind, but you have to. You are not qualified to negotiate with me. Ning Yu said indifferently, Either open your mind or die. All right, General Nan said in a deep voice, I will open my mind. I hope you have the ability to control me. You don't have to worry about this for the time being. The soul force in Ning Yu's body surged, and with an extremely terrifying speed, he rushed towards General Nan. Swish! In the blink of an eye, the soul force arrived in front of General Nan and entered his sea of consciousness. Ha ha ha! Feeling Ning Yu's soul force entering his sea of consciousness, General Nan laughed wildly again. What the hell are you laughing at? Ning Yu felt that General Nan was a little silly and cute. Didn't he know that General Nan would play tricks? The soul force he used to enter General Nan's sea of consciousness was just a fake to attract General Nan's attention. Swish! As for himself, while General Nan was laughing, he suddenly came in front of him and punched him in the chest. Poochie! The huge force from his chest made General Nan spit out a mouthful of red blood. A force entered General Nan's chest and stayed in his heart. What? General Nan was shocked. His pupils shrank, and his face was full of horror. In any case, he could never have thought that Ning Yu would do this. But now his plan failed, and Ning Yu completely controlled him. Very good. Chapter 2276. You will never know how powerful a heavenly lord is. General Nan gritted his teeth and said, Even if I take you close to Heavenly Lord Kuba, he will definitely find out. You don't have to worry about that, Ning Yu said calmly. Okay, I hope you don't regret it. General Nan's face was cold as he turned around and led the way. As General Nan moved forward, the illusory mountain disappeared completely and turned into a flat road. Ning Yu did not hesitate and followed General Nan. Swish! The illusory realm was indeed an illusory realm. When Ning Yu first entered, it was still a flat road. But when he moved forward for a distance, the flat road disappeared completely and was replaced by a cave. Walking in the cave, Ning Yu was highly focused and paid close attention to the changes around him. He moved forward slowly for about 10 minutes. General Nan stopped. What's going on? Ning Yu frowned and wondered. Through the barrier in front, you can see Heavenly Lord Kuba. General Nan pointed to the transparent barrier not far away and said, If you don't want to die, I advise you not to sneak attack Heavenly Lord Kuba. Swish! Ning Yu did not talk too much with General Nan. His figure flickered and directly turned into an afterimage, drilling into General Nan's body. Sigh. With a sigh, General Nan moved his feet and walked directly towards the transparent barrier. In fact, General Nan really did not want Ning Yu to hide in his body, because once Heavenly Lord Kuba found out he would definitely die. However, since things had come to this, General Nan had no choice but to bite the bullet. The barrier might be an obstacle for others, but it had no effect on General Nan at all. It did not take long for General Nan to pass through the barrier and arrive in front of the tomb where Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba was. Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba was collecting the Heavenly Lord talisman and devouring the heavenly demon's corpse in the tomb. The sudden appearance of General Nan was a little unexpected to him. Have you investigated it? Giving up on collecting the Heavenly Lord talisman and the heavenly demon's corpse, Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba turned to look at General Nan and asked, "Who is destroying my illusory realm?" "It's a human warrior," General Nan answered honestly. "Pa." Hearing that, Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba's figure flashed and slapped General Nan's cheek. "Trash. I also know that it's a human martial artist. Let me ask you, who is the one causing destruction?" Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba scolded with a cold expression. "Ningyu of the brilliant Void Territory." General Nan's eyes were a little flustered, and he hurriedly said, "Ningyu is insidious and cunning. Heavenly Lord must be careful." Obviously, General Nan was reminding Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba. Even though he believed in Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba's abilities, he didn't want Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba to be killed by Ningyu's sneak attack. Ningyu. Are they the ones who killed General Shi and the others? Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba asked. "Yes, it's him," General Nan said. "Go watch over the illusion for me. Without my permission, don't let anyone in." Frowning slightly, Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba waved his hand and said, "If a human martial artist comes in, I'll chop off your head." "Yes," General Nan responded, then turned around and was about to leave. "Wait." At this moment, Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba said again, "This Heavenly Lord talisman is for you. If you catch them off guard, you can injure a Heavenly Lord expert." Swoosh! While speaking, Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba threw a Heavenly Lord talisman to General Nan. "Pa." After taking the Heavenly Lord talisman, General Nan wasn't happy. Instead, he looked bitter. "What's wrong?" Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba was puzzled. "No, nothing. I'm just happy." General Nan forced a smile and said, "Humph." Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba snorted and said in a deep voice, "Tell me the truth." Okay. General Nan hesitated for a while and finally said, "Ningyu is very powerful. Even if I go all out, I can't kill him." Swoosh! Swoosh! Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba flicked his wrist and threw another 3 Heavenly Lord talismans to General Nan. As long as Ningyu isn't a Heavenly Lord, these 3 talismans can definitely kill him. Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba said coldly. "Thank you, Heavenly Lord." General Nan quickly bowed and thanked him. However, General Nan's expression still didn't look very happy. "Hurry up and get lost. Don't delay me from collecting the heavenly demon's corpse." After throwing out the 3 Heavenly Lord talismans, Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba kicked General Nan's butt and said indifferently, "You have 2 tasks. The first is to guard the illusion for me. The second is to gather all the heavenly demons in the evil spirit battlefield. Wait for me to devour all the heavenly demons inside and use them to refine an evil technique." Swoosh! However, as soon as Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba's right foot touched General Nan's butt, there was a sudden change. A shadow suddenly rushed out of General Nan's body and rushed toward him at an extremely terrifying speed. What the hell is that? The sudden change was obviously out of Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba's expectation. He let out a low roar and quickly retreated. Explode! However, in the process of Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba's retreat, the shadow directly detonated the 4 Heavenly Lord talismans in General Nan's hand. Rumble! An extremely terrifying shockwave spread out in all directions in this area. I can't accept this. Facing the explosion of the 4 Heavenly Lord talismans, General Nan was almost unable to resist and was blasted into pieces. On the other hand, Ningyu and Heavenly Lord Kuba. As Ningyu was already prepared, his injuries were the lightest, and he was basically uninjured. As for Heavenly Lord Kuba, he was in the center of the explosion, and his injuries were not light. Damn it. Feeling the change in the aura in his body, Heavenly Lord Kuba cursed. At this moment, Heavenly Lord Kuba could be said to be extremely angry. He didn't expect that he would be deceived by General Nan. If it wasn't for General Nan, he would definitely not be injured. You're Ningyu. Taking a deep breath, Heavenly Lord Kuba tried to calm himself down. He looked at Ningyu coldly and said in a deep voice, "Surrender and be my slave, and I can consider letting you go. If you ask me to be your slave, previously I might have considered it, but now you're far from qualified." Ningyu shrugged and said, "If I'm not wrong, your current combat power should be less than 10% of your peak." "Humph. So what if it's 10%? It's still easy to kill you." Heavenly Lord Kuba snorted. "Haha, who doesn't know how to brag? Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue?" Ningyu moved his arm slightly and hid the remaining Heavenly Lord talisman in his sleeve. Ningyu was very self-aware. With his current combat power, even if Heavenly Lord Kuba only had 10% of his peak strength left, he still couldn't fight against him. That was because Heavenly Lord Kuba's current strength could still be ranked in the top 50 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list. For now, there was only one plan. Chapter 2277. You seem to be very confident. Heavenly Lord Kuba regained his composure. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and said calmly, "I have at least a dozen Heavenly Lord talismans and many other life-saving Dharma treasures. Unless you're also a Heavenly Lord, killing you will be as easy as killing a dog." Heavenly Lord Kuba was naturally confident. As a Heavenly Lord, he could go home and sell sweet potatoes if he was scared by a half-step sacred immortal. "I know you're a Heavenly Lord, and I admit that you're very powerful." Ningyu's eyes flickered. "However, I want to tell you something bad. There are 2 Heavenly Lords outside the evil spirit battlefield. Are you trying to scare me?" Heavenly Lord Kuba said coldly, "I've been on the battlefield for tens of thousands of years. I'm not scared. It's up to you whether you believe me or not." Ningyu spread his hands. "This is your last chance. Surrender or die." Heavenly Lord Kuba took a step forward and said, "I don't want to surrender or die." Ningyu said calmly. Swoosh! Heavenly Lord Kuba threw out a Heavenly Lord talisman as soon as Ningyu finished his sentence. "Explode!" Heavenly Lord Kuba shouted in a low voice. The Heavenly Lord talisman exploded on the spot. Fortunately, Ningyu had been paying attention to Heavenly Lord Kuba's actions. Otherwise, he would not be able to dodge the explosion of the Heavenly Lord talisman. Swoosh! Heavenly Lord Kuba attacked again when he saw that his attack did not succeed. He clenched his right fist and punched toward Ningyu's head with violent energy. "Fight!" Ningyu clenched his teeth as he looked at Heavenly Lord Kuba, who was approaching him. He gathered all the immortal chi in his body on his fist and threw a backhand punch that collided with Heavenly Lord Kuba's fist. Bang! The two collided. Ningyu quickly retreated. As for Heavenly Lord Kuba, he stood still on the spot. In comparison, Ningyu was completely at a disadvantage. "Not bad," Yi Zichen said. Heavenly Lord Kuba took out an elixir and popped it into his mouth as he said sinisterly, "Fortunately, I've prepared a lot of things. Otherwise, I might really fail miserably today." Heavenly Lord Kuba felt very lucky. The reason why he set up the illusory array was to prevent people from disturbing him. After all, in the process of devouring the heavenly demon's corpse, he had to divide a lot of energy to manage the energy in his body. That energy was more complex. even mixed with the resentment of the heavenly demons. It needed to be slowly refined. Otherwise, with just 4 Heaven Monarch talismans, how is it possible to compress his strength to 10%? Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba had prepared a lot of elixirs because he had anticipated that there would be resentful energy. Amongst them, he had prepared no less than 100 heavenly pills. What kind of concept was 100 heavenly pills? The culmination elixir could instantly replenish the energy in the bodies of experts ranked around 100 on the Heaven Monarch substitute list. However, the Heaven Elixir had a miraculous effect on Heaven Monarch realm experts. Kacha! When Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba devoured the Heaven Elixir, Ningyu also took out a culmination elixir and threw it into his mouth. When the culmination elixir entered his stomach, the energy that Ningyu had consumed was instantly replenished. Competing with me in elixirs? Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba shook the jade bottle in his hand and said faintly, "I will let you die a horrible death." As soon as he said die, Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba rose from the ground and rushed towards Ningyu again. This time, Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba did not hold back at all. In order to kill Ningyu in one move, he did not hesitate to burn his blood essence to increase his combat power. In fact, Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba was very clear. His current strength could be ranked around 50 on the Heaven Monarch substitute list, while Ningyu could be ranked around 80. Although he was 30 ranks higher than Ningyu, as he had to deal with the resentful energy in his body, his overall combat power was comparable to Ningyu. Under such circumstances, his only chance to win was to compete with Ningyu in terms of elixirs. Rumble. Just as Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba was about to launch his second attack, a sudden change happened. A huge grave in the distance suddenly split open. Swoosh! A huge skeleton came out of the grave. Gasp! Sensing the aura emitted from the huge skeleton, Ningyu and Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba gasped at the same time. They could basically conclude that the cultivation of the skeleton was at least at the peak of the early stage Heaven Monarch. Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba was only the weakest Heaven Monarch. Among the heavenly demons, there were many heavenly monarchs who were more powerful than Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba. Damn it! Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba cursed in his heart. His face was extremely gloomy. The skeleton's current strength should be in the top 30 on the Heaven Monarch substitute list. Originally, Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba could easily kill it, but now he could only choose to retreat. Anger, unwillingness, and despair filled Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba's mind. Ningyu, you and I are irreconcilable. Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba roared at Ningyu. Then he turned his head and wanted to leave. Crack! How could the skeleton allow Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba to leave? He took a step forward and appeared in front of Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba. You are a heavenly demon. This body is just right for me to stay in temporarily. The skeleton's body spun rapidly and went into Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba's body under his desperate gaze. Crack! 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 It fused with Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba. The skeleton twisted its body and made cracking sounds. Why? Why? Although the skeleton went into his body, Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba did not die immediately. He let out an angry roar and struggled to drive the skeleton out. But no matter how hard Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba tried, he could not succeed. This situation lasted for about a few minutes. Then, Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba's voice gradually weakened. Ningyu knew. Heavenly Lord Ku-Ba was completely dead. His body was also taken by the skeleton. Human, fresh flesh. The skeleton turned to look at Ningyu, licked his lips and said, I didn't expect that Iao Feng would receive 2 great gifts as soon as I came out of the mountain. Fresh and tender human flesh. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Hearing Ao Feng's words, Ningyu's face became extremely solemn. After taking over Heavenly Lord Ku Ba's body, Ao Feng's strength improved again. Originally, Ao Feng could only be ranked around 30th on the Heavenly Lord substitute list. Now he could be ranked around 20th. Kill! Heavenly Lord Ao Feng shouted and charged at Ningyu with a roar. Chi! Chi! Heavenly Lord Ao Feng was very fast. He was so fast that he arrived in front of Ningyu in an instant. He clenched his right hand into a fist and punched at Ningyu's heart. Explode! At the critical moment, Ningyu threw out the Heavenly Lord talisman from his sleeve and detonated it. Child's play. The Heavenly Lord talisman that Ningyu threw out did not cause any damage to Heavenly Lord Ao Feng. After dispersing the aftermath, Heavenly Lord Ao Feng came in front of Ningyu. Swoosh! At the critical moment, a cold glint suddenly shot out from the red demon sword. Ning rode. Chapter 2278. Bang! Ning Lu punched out, bringing along a berserk strong wind, colliding with Ao Feng's fist that could not be avoided. Swoosh! Swoosh! After one move, two figures retreated hastily. This move, both sides were evenly matched. Very good. Ao Feng stared at Ning Lu with a cold expression and said in a deep voice, "You have successfully infuriated me. Next, I will let you know the price of angering me." Swoosh! When his voice fell, Ao Feng did not hesitate and dashed out again. Let me. Seeing Ao Feng make a move, Ningyu took a step out and blocked in front of Ning Lu. Although he did not know why Ning Lu could erupt with such terrifying combat power, Ningyu was very clear that Ning Lu must have paid a huge price. Letting Ning Lu, who was in a seriously injured state, block Ao Feng for him, Ningyu could not do it. Rumble. However, right at this moment, all the tombs started to shake. Furthermore, the speed of this shaking became faster and faster. At first, it was only the tombs shaking, but as time passed, the entire Cloud Valley was not spared. Bad news! The sudden change made Ao Feng's expression change drastically. Having no time to care about Ning Lu and Ningyu, Ao Feng waved his hand and directly sucked out the heavenly demon corpses in the tombs, storing them into the spatial magic treasure that he carried with him. After doing all this, Ao Feng glared at Ningyu and Ning Lu, then toward the void and tunneled in. Let's go too. Ningyu was not an indecisive person. He grabbed Ning Lu's palm and wanted to leave. Wait. However, Ning Lu directly broke free from Ningyu and said in a deep voice, "This is an opportunity." Opportunity? Ningyu was puzzled, seeing that Cloud Valley was about to collapse, staying at this time. What was the difference from courting death? Why? Why would Ning Lu say that it was an opportunity? We'll know in a while. Moreover, that guy might not be able to escape. Ning Lu waved his hand, indicating that Ningyu did not need to panic. All right. Helpless, Ningyu could only choose to stay. Rumble. As time went by, the swaying of the cloudy Cloud Valley grew more and more intense. The ground collapsed, and the cave completely collapsed. Whoosh! Just when Ningyu was about to give up, a branch the size of an arm shot out from the ground. World Tree. Ningyu's pupils shrank when he saw the branches that suddenly shot out. This branch was not an ordinary tree branch, but a branch of the World Tree. Calling it a branch was a bit unfair. Roots. This root contained most of the World Tree's essence. Shio. Ning Lu didn't hesitate at all. The moment the roots sprang out, they moved quickly, opened their mouths, and swallowed it. Kacha! 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 It didn't take long before Ning Lu swallowed the root of the World Tree. Bang! Subsequently, Ning Lu sat down cross-legged and began refining. Buzz, buzz, buzz! Ning Lu's refining speed was very fast, fast to the extreme. Bang! In just a dozen or so seconds, Ning Lu's missing energy was completely replenished, and he returned to his peak state. Rise! Seeing that Ning Lu was cultivating, the immortal qi in Ning Yu's body surged out and formed an immortal qi protective shield around him. No matter how the collapsed rocks fell, they couldn't hurt Ning Yu and Ning Lu at all. Bang! 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 Just like that, time was ticking away. Ning Lu's devouring speed became faster and faster. 10 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. During these 10 minutes, a total of 3 muffled sounds came from Ning Lu's body. Every muffled sound signified that Ning Lu's cultivation had increased by a level. Early stage Saint Immortal, middle stage Saint Immortal, late stage Saint Immortal, peak stage Saint Immortal. Ning Lu was originally an early stage Saint Immortal. After refining the root of the world tree, his cultivation level soared to the peak stage Saint Immortal. According to Ning Yu's preliminary estimation, if Ning Lu challenged the Heavenly Lord substitute role, he would probably be ranked in the top 20. Of course, that was only Ning Yu's preliminary estimation. As for how strong Ning Lu's real combat ability was, Ning Yu didn't know. Ning Yu, relax. Ning Yu was thinking. Ning Lu's voice rang in his ears. Ning Yu was stunned at first, then he relaxed. Swoosh! A terrifying energy wave surged out of Ning Lu's body and entered Ning Yu's body. Ning Yu was shocked. He thought that the energy of the root of the world tree had been completely refined by Ning Lu. However, it seemed that Ning Lu had only consumed half of its energy. If Ning Lu refined all of it, his cultivation level could even reach the half-step Heavenly Lord realm. Thank you. Ning Yu knew that there was no need for too many words between him and Ning Lu. He thanked Ning Lu secretly, then started to use a secret skill to refine the energy that entered his body. Bang! 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 A series of muffled sounds came from Ning Yu's body. Although his cultivation level did not increase and was still at the half-step Saint Immortal realm, every muffled sound meant that Ning Yu's strength had increased by a level. Originally, Ning Yu could only be ranked in the top 80 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list. However, at this moment, he could definitely enter the top 50 if he challenged the Heavenly Lord substitute list. However, this was not the final state. That was because there was still a lot of energy in Ning Yu's body that had not been refined. 49, 48, 47, the speed at which time passed was obviously slower than the speed at which Ning Yu's strength increased. Crack! Half an hour later. It was only when a crisp sound came from Ning Yu's body that Ning Yu stopped. Huff! Ning Yu's eyes were filled with shock as he slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. After half an hour of devouring and refining, his current strength was enough to be ranked in the top 15 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list. If he met Ao Feng again, he could even kill him in one move. After all, Ao Feng had not recovered to his peak state. His current overall strength could only be ranked in the top 20 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list. Crack! Ning Yu had just achieved some success in his cultivation when the immortal qi protective shield he set up shattered. Let's go! Ning Yu and Ning Lu looked at each other. Then they tore the void apart and dashed out of Xia Yin Valley. Rumble! After Ning Yu and Ning Lu left Xia Yin Valley, it suddenly collapsed. Countless debris flew all over the sky. Ah, my feet! My eyes, who saw my eyes? Heavenly Lord Ao Feng, I'm also a heavenly demon. Why did you devour me? Why? All of a sudden, all kinds of shouts and curses rang in Ning Yu's ears. He looked over. The entire outer area of Xia Yin Valley had become hell on earth. Countless heavenly demons died in Ao Feng's hands. Every time Ao Feng devoured a heavenly demon, his strength would increase. At first, Ning Yu judged that Ao Feng could be ranked in the top 20 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list. But now, Ao Feng's strength had already soared to around the top 18 of the Heavenly Lord substitute list. At this speed, it probably wouldn't be long before even Ning Yu was no match for him. I must stop AO phone. Ning Yu's face was cold. He stomped on the ground and was about to rush out. Swish. However, before Ning Yu rushed out, he stopped. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.